All right. We got to start now. I'm late anyway, and there's so much to catch up on. And I got to ramble for a bit. And Capella is distracting the hell out of me. She's zipping around the damn studio. See? You can't eat them. And she's really trying to climb up there. How was the trip? The trip was great. I think that maybe if you guys had gone on the trip, you know, not like as a friend of mine, because you're not, but if you were me and you'd gone on the trip, you wouldn't have liked it because your spirit is weak and you can't appreciate my partner the way that I can. The trip didn't go as planned. We drove down to Rainier Mountain, which is about 1,000,000 miles tall, because we wanted to do some snow hiking. And by snow hiking, I mean like the snow is like 6 feet deep or whatever. You know, it's like snow hiking. You know, we had like the boot chains, the chains you put in the boots, the whole thing. Not snowshoes, but you know. Um, gotcha, Furman. She's slouched. Um, at least that mountain's nearby, though. Yeah, yeah, no, it's not too far a drive from Seattle. But we went down there, and my partner brought their snow chains because you know the roads are clear, but past a point you never know. Uh, we were staying at an Airbnb nearby, so we get there at night. It's dark, and it turns out the path to get to the Airbnb is a narrow icy driveway that kind of curves and undulates through the forest. And then at the end, there's a slope, like a sudden sharp slope up to get to the proper like parking and resting area, which is, of course, ice. So, we didn't have the chains on at that point, and we tried because we were like, okay, like ice, you know, it's not impossible to drive on ice with no snow chains, even if you're going uphill. Let's just try to, you know, let's just try to skill our way up here. Tried, we couldn't. Just vroom, couldn't do it. So we back out, you know, and we go looking for a nice place we can stop to put on the tire chains. At which point we discover the tire chains were not the right size. They were for a different car. We thought our wheels were like close enough to the size because tire chains have like adjustable tabs that you pull to kind of constrict them to the size of the wheel. But no, they were not the right size. So we are like, okay, fine. We're in an area that it snows pretty frequently and pretty heavily, so there's got to be a place where we can get some tire chains around here. And there wasn't. There's no auto shop anywhere nearby. Anywhere nearby. But in the local town, there are a few places that are renting them. And the local town here looks like it was built in 1882 and hasn't been updated since. I mean, we are talking like the sticks and not like, you know, highway, off-ramp rest stop sticks. I mean, like the sticks, the sticks. Like there are log cabins out there that people live in for real. So we go to one of the one of like a general store, and we ask for tire chains. It turns out they rent them. They don't sell them. So we rent, and the tire chains they have are ancient and falling apart, like properly destroyed. Like twine is holding them together. There are parts that are rusted. There are like metal bits of it that look like they've been like broken and then like twisted with pliers to try to reshape them into the appropriate, you know, to make them like roughly usable. Yeah, they're vintage. It's authentic vintage menswear um snow chains. So we shop around for a little bit with these to try to find ones that look like they're around the right size and don't look entirely broken. And these are the older tire chains where you have to like back up onto them. Like they don't modern tire chains, you can wrap them around the wheel with the car stationary and then get them all set up and then kind of adjust them a little afterwards. But the older ones are drive on, like you have to back up onto them, which is fiddly because the roads are kind of icy, so it's like a little difficult to precisely maneuver the car. We get the chains on after a lot of fuss. And by the way, because I wasn't anticipating doing all this work, I am not dressed for the occasion. Like, I'm wearing my nice boots, which ended up getting pretty scuffed, but okay, heritage men's were breaking, whatever. I'm wearing a cardigan, you know? So it's freezing, or it's below freezing, I mean. I take the cardigan off, I'm in a t-shirt and jeans, and the nice boots, and I will remain that way for the rest of the evening. My hands are freezing because my gloves are in the suitcase. Again, I thought I was just driving to the Airbnb, unpack when I'm there, you know. I didn't realize the icy, you know, the icy ramp I'd have to go up. So I'm applying the tire chains. It takes a while. My hands are numb. They're a little blue. They're freezing. But we get them on. So we drive down the way. About 100 feet after we start driving, one of the tire chains comes undone. So I stop the car on the side, and I look, and it's now caught, totally caught, in the wheel, like behind the wheel, basically. Which, because it's caught so thoroughly and was already pretty fucked up, I don't know what is broken, or what even needs to be adjusted to pull it off, you know? Like, I understand theoretically what to undo to get it off, but in practice, I'm looking at a cluster of torn metal and twine. So I get down on my hands and knees, and about 15 minutes later, I remove the tire chains. I've got, like, dirt and grease all up my forearms now. Like I look like a mechanic, you know? And my jeans are, I mean, they're getting a bit of a break-in, you know? So we just have one tire chain on now. And I'm thinking, this is probably going to come off. Oh, sorry about Windows. This is probably going to come off if I drive any farther. But I also can't take that tire chain off, because the tire chain that's still on is on the left side of the car, which means that it's in the road. The shoulder for this road is basically non-existent, but the way the show was snuffled means that I can pull over on the right side of the road, not the left side. Meaning there's no way for me to get the tire chain off the back left wheel without putting myself in the middle of the road. There's no light out here. So, you know, snow shovel, you're not understanding the stakes at play here. The snow wall on the side of the road is 2 feet of ice and then 2 feet of snow. It's permafrost. It's been there for at least 5 months now. So the shoveling that was done was not by a human, but by a machine. I could not move it. So anyway, we drive a little bit farther up. The whole time, the poorly fitted snow chain, or tire chain, on the back left wheel is going cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. We drive slowly, and we end up pulling into a well-lit area, the driveway into a off-the-road restaurant, okay? And I park there, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get this off. So I take off the second chain, which thankfully is not as hard as the first one, but my arms are still covered in grease. Now, my beloved partner noticed as we were driving on in, that, hello, Capella. My beloved partner noticed that they actually had a sign that I didn't notice as I was coming up into the driveway for this place. We sell snow chains. So we're like, oh, or tire chains, whatever. So we're like, oh, great. So I run up to the store. That's part of the, like, restaurant, like, you know, campus. I guess it's a couple of buildings. It's closed. It's past 8. It just closed. So I'm like, okay, well. But my beloved partner is like, you know what? I'm just gonna wander around until I find someone while you remove the tire chain. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. So I work on the tire chain, and my partner runs around and eventually does find somebody. They're not selling tire chains, they're renting them. Again, we already have a rental out on one that didn't work. So we end up renting another one. Now, interestingly, after checking the size of the wheels on my car, we found that the style of tire chains that they had They had a listing on Amazon for that tire chain. Like, it's not so old that no one even knows who made it or whatever. We looked it up. They did not have my tire size as one of the listed tire sizes that could go with any one of the various sizes of their tire chains. Like, you can kind of estimate it because you have like 3 sets of letters. It's like, you know, 225, 25, 17 or something. Like, there's a set of them. But I looked it up on Amazon and there was none for my tire. So we estimated it. We're like, okay, it's closest to this. We'll go a little bit big so you can shrink them down because you can kind of pull it in a little, you know. We got it. I put on the tire chains, which at this point, my hands are like freezing. You know what I mean? Like, my hands are... Because the only gloves that I have are gloves that you would use for hiking around in the cold. They're not meant for manual work on a car. Like, I couldn't even apply or remove these if I got the gloves out because the gloves are too thick. The gloves are like ski gloves, you know? I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I'm doing with the car. And you're handling metal, you know? So anyway, we put on the tire chains. We do it properly. I'm looking up a guide on my phone, you know, like I did it theoretically right the first time, but whatever. Doesn't hurt to be sure, okay? You know, I'm working it out. I'm putting it all together. I put the tire chains in the back, set it up. We get the second rental going. We'll say we'll bring it back, okay? We go back onto the road, 100 feet down, ka-chunk. So I pull over to the side of the road, and I don't know what happened this time. I think the sizing was fine. I think maybe the rental that we were given was broken. That's the only thing I can think of because I was very meticulous in following the instructions. So I remove it. My hands are like non-functioning at this point, basically. I'm basically just like, in order to manipulate the metal wires and stuff, I'm basically just like grabbing onto it and then shaking my shoulders to try to, like, you know, remove everything. Capella, you're gonna knock around some wiring back there. Come on. Come on. Yeah, she knows. You know. So, okay, I remove... One, was this over an entire day or just a couple? I'm describing what happened in like 90 minutes, okay? So as before, we only have one set of tire chains on now, just one wheel. And that one seemed to be on sturdy. That one was on, it was more durable. Like, it wasn't clunking when I drove down the road. So we were like, maybe that one isn't broken. Because these are rentals, I don't know what's broken and what's misapplication on my part. So if this one tire chain can make it all the way back to the Airbnb driveway, we can get up there. We'll deal with the rest of it tomorrow. You know, it's late, it's dark, it's freezing. Tomorrow, we just need to get up there. I need a warm shower. We can fix everything tomorrow. Okay? So slowly, because you have to drive slowly, we drove back to the Airbnb. And we went through the windy driveway and we made our way back up to the hill. And it's like, okay, it's now or never. Like, what are we going to do? Okay. So I get everything lined up properly. You know, I make sure that, you know, like I have clearance in both directions. Like, if I slide backwards, I'm not going to hit a tree. And I floor it. I don't really floor it. You're not supposed to floor it when you're going up. But I hit, you know, I hit it. I engage. And I go up and 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 up. And with just maybe 3 feet to go, we're looking over the top of the hill. The car stops moving. Now, any wiggling at this point is guaranteed to send me back. You're pretty much committed to the trajectory that you engaged in from the get-go. So we're stuck there. But now we're looking over the hill and onto the property the Airbnb is on. I could see like the path where I was meant to drive, you know. So we couldn't go any further. Time to get out and push a little. No. Steep hill. No, that's not viable. You try to push the car, you just push yourself down, then the car rolls back and crushes you. It's not, no. It's a joke. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, you do not. No. So now, finally some good happens. We're stuck there. And I'm talking to my partner. I'm thinking, suicide pact? Maybe. Never been a better time. And we see lights turn on in the property closest to us, because there's a bunch of properties that look like they might be like Airbnb or whatever, like smaller ones. And then there's a large one that I assume is the property manager, the groundskeeper. I don't know. A woman comes out. She's an older woman, maybe 50, 60 or something. I don't know. And we don't know what the vibes are right away because, again, we're out in the sticks. You know, I don't really know. You know, sometimes Airbnbs have that vibe to them. You know what I mean? It's not like a hotel. You're not driving up to like a clean, well-lit, you know, entrance. Sometimes it's like, yeah, the property's out back. Good luck. A woman comes out and she grabs a shovel. And I'm like, 90% chance this is meant to help, but I'm going to roll down the window and ask. The woman's the groundskeeper or something. I didn't really clarify. But it turns out at the base of the hill, they had a big pile of gravel, which, you know, you can shovel onto ice so when you roll over it, you get texture on the ice and you can start moving. But at first she didn't indicate that. She was just walking towards me with a shovel. Now, I couldn't get out of the car because in order to not roll backwards, I had to maintain a certain pressure on the accelerator. I couldn't stop the car. Like if I parked and emergency braked, I would slip back over the tiny indent in the wheels that I had driven and I would slide back and it would be bad. So I had to stay there, keeping my foot at exactly the same place on the accelerator while my beloved partner went out and talked with this person, the groundskeeper, whatever, who pointed out the gravel down at the base of the hill, who went down there. And my partner was like, oh, I'll help you shovel. My partner's not a 60-year-old woman, right? So my partner goes down with the shovel and goes with the gravel and starts, applying it in front of all the wheels to try to, lay out the texture needed to grip into the ice, and set things over. And my partner's doing a wonderful job, setting it all down, and you're not going to believe it. So past a point, there was enough gravel on the ground that I felt okay parking the car, because now, like it was behind the wheel, so the wheel would hold when I parked. And I tested it when no one was behind me, and it worked. So I got out of the car, and I couldn't really do anything because my partner had the shovel. It's not like hard work to move the gravel; it's more precise work than anything. But I'm watching, and the old woman falls and hits her knee on the ice on the slope. She was just walking around the side of my car while doing this, but we just hear like a sharp, like fall noise and her yelling in pain. So of course we both race over to help her. And we feel awful. I mean, like we didn't do like she was just dead, but like, I mean, it's ice, So we ran over, and we were worried, like, is it a hip injury? Because if so, like, she might, like, I don't know. Thankfully, it was just her knee. And at that point, another guy came over, and this was somebody that she had called when she first walked over to help us. And this was a younger guy, like maybe my age, and he came over, and he was on his approach when she slipped. And they knew each other, obviously. They had some prior relation. I didn't get all the details. But he ran over, and we all helped, like, pick her up. And my partner helped bring her back to her house. And my partner was very, like, again, apologetic implies culpability here. And, my lawyer advised me not to say anything. But though really, like, it's like, we feel awful, of course. So the older woman gets brought back to her place. Eventually, enough of the gravel is laid that we feel comfortable giving it an attempt. I talk with the guy who comes over. The guy's nice. Finally, in the car, we hit the shit. We make it over the hill. Gravel takes us. We make the rest of the way on the property. We get there, we park. We're at the Airbnb. It's lovely. Good water pressure in the shower, Took me about 30 minutes to get all the grease off my arms. I mean, like they were really like I've gotten grease in my arms before from like minor auto stuff, but this was the first time I ever had like up to the elbow. Because in order to get the tire chains off when they're stuck behind the wheel, you kind of have to like hug the wheel. It's a whole I mean, I'm sure you can imagine. Anyway, so we take the rest of the night to relax, obviously. And the next morning, we leave later than we wanted to because we didn't think the previous night would be so spiritually exhausting. Um, but the next day, the goal was we're going to go up to Rainier and we are going to do a snow hike. Now, obviously, the tire chains are FUBAR, right? That shit ain't happening. So what we thought was, okay, the roads only need to be so good going up. Like, it's not that the car is bad, right? It's that we had an ice hill to climb, like a 30-degree grade ice hill out of nowhere with no lead up. The wheels are fine. The car is fine. It's not like a all-terrain vehicle or anything, but that was like an especially difficult obstacle. So let's go up. Okay. We go over, enter the gate for Rainier, you know. We have the tire chain container in the car, which allows us to get in because they're like, if you need to put on tire chains, then, just put them on when you need them. And they said that mandatory for any two-wheel drive cars, but my car's four-wheel drive, right? So I'm thinking, okay, we're fine for this, you know? And we still have the tire chains that we got from the second place. The ones that came off, maybe because they were poorly applied, they didn't look broken. So maybe I give it another shot. We enter Rainier. Massive, massive, massive mountain. I mean, like driving... The Rainier National Park is basically like an enormous square that basically just contains the base of the mountain up. It's huge, you know? It overlooks everything. And it takes like 50 minutes to get from the base up to the part where you can start doing the taller hikes. So we start going up. And I see something ahead of me at the checkpoint. Ice on the roads. Hey, mountain ranger, whatever the fuck. Do you salt the roads in Rainier? And he says something that makes a lot of sense to me. No. We don't want to salinate the water. It would interfere with the natural environment. That makes a lot of sense, though. Thank you, officer, or ranger, whatever you prefer. Instead, they sand the ice, which makes sense. Not as effective, mind you. Sanding machines drive up. So, we go up. And at first, things are going okay. We're driving for about 15 minutes. I'm being very responsible. A solid 25 to 30 miles per hour. It's a winding uphill road. I'm staying exactly in the tire marks of the cars right ahead of us, you know, maximizing the traction. And we keep going. And eventually we reach the Longhorn Gate, I think it is. This is the first checkpoint. At this point, you have like a national park restaurant, store, you know, it's like a facility. Past this point is where the real hikers go. So this would be where you would stop if you want a nice little day hike. Normally in the summer or spring, you want a nice little day hike in like a, you know, an easy kind of, oh, you know, we're walking around. Past this point, it's like, do you want to start your hike at 7,000 feet? Sure. But we keep going. The moment I pass the Longhorn Gate, I realize something. However much they sand the road up to this point, they sanded a lot less past it. Instantly, the wheels start slipping. So I'm like, okay. I guess we need to reapply those tire chains. So I'll go further up the road as best as I can, which is not easy. The wheels are slipping. Trying my best here. Got to maintain the exact speed where you think you're matching the... Too slow when you start to roll back. Too fast, of course, the tires slip. It's a whole thing. And I find a turnoff point, you know, a little bit in the side of the road. And we go there. And I get the tire chains out. And I start to apply them. They're broken. I don't know if they were broken to begin with. or if they broke when they slipped off the wheel the previous night, they are not usable. And you can't go up a mountain road with one tire chain because you have having friction on one back wheel but not the other, you'll spin out. Turns out also it's not a four-wheel drive car. I thought it was. I didn't buy it. I got it secondhand. It's a two-wheel drive. So, you know, that's less than four. That's half the engagement with the road. Anyway, so we're like, okay, absolutely no shot we're able to get the rest of the way up. It's like 45 minutes more driving to get to the top here. It's not happening. We need to readjust. So we try to go back on the road and go back down. A problem. We can't. However much they sanded the road at this point, they don't sand the pull-off point. I'm in a snowbank. Car's not moving. We're here for a while. Now, thankfully, unlike the previous night, we have proper winter equipment on, so I'm not out here freezing. I've got the gloves and the hat, you know. So that's good. Problem being, we can't turn. We can't move back. We can't move forward. I don't want to get my car towed. You know, that sounds expensive and stressful. So we start trying to move the snow out from in front of us and move it around. You know, I don't have a full snow shovel in my car. I live in Seattle. But I do have like a large snow scraper. So I'm like pulling big like hefts of it, you know, what, like big scoops, moving it around. It's not doing shit. Now, my beloved, brilliant partner comes up with an idea. Because the snow is not really the issue. As you know, driving over snow, okay, it's not great. Ice is the issue. And under the snow is the ice. I can't do shit about the ice. My partner can. Because my partner has high-quality shoe spikes. Not just chains. Proper spikes. So they put them on, and they get to stomp, stomp, stomping. And they're really, I mean, they're getting a full workout for this. And I can't do anything. Mine are just chains. I can't break the ice, no matter how hard I stomp. But they're stomping and stomping and stomping and stomping and stomping. And I'm just in the car. I'm, you know, fucking good luck out there. They were in the car while I was trying to apply the tire chain, realizing it was broken. I'll be in the car while you stomp, stomp, stomp. They stomp. And God willing, after a little bit, we were able to get back onto the road. Now, problem number infinity, okay? Once you're back on the road, you are now on slippery ice road, mountain road, curvy mountain road, not sanded, or at least not sanded enough, downhill, until we get back to the Longhorn Gate, which is the point where the road gets sanded again. So I'm pulling out every stop on the don't die, you know, like driving school. You know, when you're slipping a little bit and you're like, all right, it's going to take all of my neurons firing. However, if I simply move the wheel in the precise combination of direction, like there's the perfect input sequence to move downhill straight. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? Where you're like, okay, the wheels are not gripping anything. So by like tactically shuffling the wheels like this, I can actually move downhill normally and slowly, like at a perfectly normal cadence, you know, without any swerving. Right, I entered the weave, exactly. And we made it back down to the Longhorn Gate. And past that point, the roads were sanded enough that I could drive normally again. And we go out, and I asked the ranger on the way out, kind of, you know, like a final resigned question, are there any places nearby that sell tire chains? Not rent them, but sell them. No. Nah, you'd have to drive out like 45 minutes for that. By the way, gates close at 4:30 because it's winter. Okay. So that shit ain't happening. We ended up doing a little walk nearby. And the next day, so yesterday, no, too much, though it is good. The next day, we did a proper hike. We did a 2-hour hike, a proper one, near some falls, a little while out from there. Very pretty. We got to chill out at a snowbank adjacent to, like, river rapids, you know? Next time, drop into 1 or 2 for more torque. I know how my vehicle works, and trust me, I did. And trust me, it didn't make a difference, okay? Anyhow, it was good. It was a good trip. It was good. So sometimes you just have to develop character. What happened to the old lady in the end? She seemed fine. We didn't get to follow up with her very much, but it seems like it was more of a shock thing than it was like no, nothing broken, you know. Yeah, it's a fun adventure, you know. Vosh, I know how my vehicle works. Also, Vosh, turns out it's 2-wheel drive. Okay, I know how downshifting the gear works. I didn't know that detail about my car. I don't know why I was under the impression it was 4-wheel drive. I don't know how I heard that, okay? It's a little more stressful than I expected the vacation to be, but you know, that's life sometimes. Can you drive stick? No, and no one cares. Literally like obsolete technology, you know? Driving stick is fun. Yeah, well, cars are fascist, so having fun while driving is a sign of poor character. It was a fun story, yeah. Shift stick elitist bragging about knowing something that's basically useless. Us, automatic proletarians are tired of being held down by the bourgeois stick shift drivers. Anyway, you know, we got a lot of valuable life experience. I got my partner to spend like 30 minutes applying alcohol and disinfectant to the cuts that I got on my hands while doing all the wheel, you know, untangling, so on and so forth, which is always kind of you know, always a fun experience. No one died, to my knowledge. Are you wearing something under that jacket? It is a shirt, and no, I am not. Well, how was everyone else's weekend? Moral is y'all are lucky you didn't die this weekend. There were some precarious moments, you know. It definitely we got close a few points there. It felt like what the flesh hats were horrific. What the fuck are you talking about? I have no idea what you're on about. The Super Bowl commercial? Yeah, I was. I was not watching the Super Bowl. I did. I mean, I saw the halftime show, of course. How could I not? Un-American, a citizen of the world. Thank you. All right, can't have fun forever, folks. When you were about to die, did you think to yourself, I bet Hassan is hoping I'm going to die right now? It's a deep cut, but to the people who know, that'd be pretty funny, yeah. Me like taking a picture of like my car's sideways. I'm inside it, snowed in. There's blood pooling at the side of the car, closest to the ground, and I'm like, Hassan's feeling thankful or something. Taking a picture midair. The road's 200 feet below me. You can see like fragments of metal from the side rail that just got obliterated by me slamming into it at 85 miles an hour. It's like skidded out of control downhill. It's pretty impressive that I was able to tweet that out in the time that I had before I got, you know, mulched against the mountainside.
Can we get the tariffs before
I want to talk.
Can we talk about something that's like very important, but probably not as much of a cut as you guys are hoping for? I know you all want to hear about how Kendrick Lamar, I don't know, made Donald Trump leave. Didn't he leave early? Donald Trump, he left the Super Bowl early, didn't he? Right? That did happen? I don't know. I'm catching up. He did leave early? Well, he is the president of the United States of America. He left during halftime. Well, of course, you know. Kendrick sang an anti-pedophile song, you know? It's not his kind of scene, if you think about it. Anyway, there's something that's maybe slightly more important. Gotta look real quick, okay? Is that all right?
About steel tariffs, that's why.
Kevin's going to let me keep going. Go ahead, Kevin. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So President Trump has made it clear that an important part of an America First golden age is steel production. And when we put the steel tariffs in last time, you might go back and look right after the steel tariffs went in. It didn't cause manufacturing to go down. In fact, manufacturing jobs the next couple of years went up about 120,000 jobs right after this.
It's a lie, obviously, but you don't need me to tell you that. It's the top Trump economic advisor. He says something very funny in this interview. You know what? We'll just skip to the funny part first, and then we'll watch the rest of it, okay? Listen to this bit. You've probably seen it on Twitter. If you haven't, you got to adjust who you follow.
I'm telling you that
not recommending you follow Aaron Rupar.
When we talk economics,
he thinks
our objective
outside
is
the box.
increase supply. We want increased supply and lower aggregate demand. That'll give us, you know, wealth for the people, wages for the people, and lower inflation. And that's what I mean. That's 100% is what the strategy is.
So this is Trump's top economic advisor, straightforwardly saying that he wants a recession. That's literally it's not even it's not even like euphemistic. Increased labor supply means more people looking for a job, means lower employment, and reduced aggregate demand means people consuming less, which normally I would say is good. But in this system, lowered across the board consumption, well, why do you think the consumption's lowered? Everyone just woke up and became more ecologically conscientious? No, it's because people have less money. Could he have misspoke? I mean, you decide for yourself. We'll watch the whole segment, but again,
I'm telling you that when we talk economics, our objective is increase supply. We want increased supply and lower aggregate demand. That'll give us, you know, wealth for the people, wages for the people, and lower inflation. And that's what I mean. That's 100% is what the strategy is.
It's pretty straightforward. They want to trigger a recession because that's what caused World War II and the rise of fascism. Well, depression did, but the recessions are phenomenal for the ultra wealthy because they can float the losses short term and then they rebound and consolidate power when things come back. They love that shit, you know? I mean, think about what happened in 2008, right? Like after that, like the consolidation across the board was massive, you know? Republicans, or I should say maybe like the most aggressive advocates for capital interest, they do not like low unemployment because low unemployment means that labor is in high demand, and labor being in high demand means that people who are laborers can make stronger demands, and people have to make concessions to them. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm talking about, right?
steel tariffs came in, and we could talk about why.
Give it a bit. This is important.
And then under President Biden last year, we lost 100,000 jobs. And one of the things that's happened is that there was a lot of increased steel capacity after the steel tariffs came in, which, remember, were put in there so that if in case of war, we can have the steel we need to fight a war. That's what the president said. It was a 232 decision. And so steel capacity went way up. And then all of a sudden, there's waivers for this and waivers for that. There's hundreds of thousands of waivers. And so that the steel tariffs that were so effective before have been overwhelmed with waivers. And so President Trump, as he can do, is like, OK, so let's just stop the waivers. And he'll do so at a time of his choosing. The order
doesn't really have the, I don't know, the aura of an economic advisor, does he? He looks more like a giggling psychopath a little bit.
Is not out yet, but he said on, to us and on Air Force One that this is a high priority to make sure that America is ready for whatever may come in the future and that we've got a strong and vibrant steel industry.
So how are you going to even the playing field? You talk about tax reciprocity around the world, and the president Trump is obsessed with balance of payments wherever they are. Some people don't think that I mean, we're a wealthy country. We're not going to change our balance. We're definitely going to consume more than most of our trading partners because we're able to. Kevin, is that the metric we should be using to decide whether there's an imbalance and whether we need tariffs from Mexico or for Canada or wherever?
The reciprocity, there are different ways to think about reciprocity, but if we're talking specifically about tariffs, just recall that almost every trading partner has much higher tariffs than we do. In fact, the only trading partner that's about where we are, and there's Canada and Mexico who are part of the trade deal, but outside of that, the UK has about the same tariff we do. The EU it's 2 to 3% higher. Taiwan it's 10 or 11%, and India, and we're meeting Modi soon, has got a lot to talk about with the president because they have tariffs that I think the trade weighted average is a little bit short of 20. Now I'm running it out of my head, so don't give me a Pinocchio. But they have high rates that are enormously high. They're lockout rates, and so President Trump believes that at the very least everybody should agree that if they're charging us 20, then we should charge them 20, and then if they go down, we'll go down. But that's the idea of reciprocity in the tariff space.
Hey, Kevin, can I just ask you, yesterday, President Trump said something.
Our money's more valuable than theirs. No. You don't understand, okay? You don't understand, all right? If Bangladesh puts 20% tariffs on U.S. cars because they're trying to jumpstart their own, poor auto industry, that means that we definitely have to put 20% tariffs on the bajillion items of clothing we get from them, okay? It's actually the sign of America being a wealthy country is if we have perfect trade parity with much poorer countries. That's actually like, much in the same way that, like, a wealthy person who lives in a wealthy district pays for as many services as he delivers, right? Like, that's what wealth looks like on an individual level. Like, if you're a really wealthy guy, like a king, maybe you buy lots of cool stuff, like a throne and clothing and stuff, but you should also, like, make the throne and clothing for other people to buy, too. That's what wealth looks like,
on Air Force One on his way to the Super Bowl about how maybe there was something at Treasury where we didn't
tell people you're sarcastic. How is that me being sarcastic? If you're like a super wealthy person and you're paying for products and services, that means there's a trade deficit between you and those product and service makers, right? Like, basically, it's like, wow, in the exchange of wealth, you gave $20,000 last year to this restaurant, but how much money did the restaurant give you for you serving money to their, serving food to their staff? Like, you're kind of losing out on that exchange, don't you think? Oh, yeah, you went to a 5-star restaurant, you spent a lot of money on a dinner, but you're kind of poor, right? Because if you think about it, you haven't made a dinner for their waiters. If this sounds like profoundly retarded to you, please understand this is literally the stated GOP attitude towards international trade. Like, this is just, it's not, there's not even a euphemism here. Like, this is just straightforwardly what they believe.
didn't have as much debt as we thought. Is that referring to debt that's already been issued that we might recall?
Oh, yeah, I saw this as well. Trump suggested that U.S. debt might not be as high as thought because, like, he's not going to do anything to lower the debt. So if he takes credit for anything, it would just be like imagining the debt number is lower. But if America actually did start adjusting the amount of debt it thinks it owed, it would, like, crash the global economy. Could you imagine that? Like, the US is like, actually, I think that we owe a few trillion less to China than you think, thereby instantly like defaulting on an enormous amount of debt, causing economic havoc that's felt the world around, including here, because no one would trust the United States as a lender of currency anymore. Like you're speed running the removal of the US dollar as the global reserve currency.
Or say, is it needed, or is it more akin to what you were talking about at the top, which is?
It was the top. It was the top. As we're getting, back in the day, radiologists used to say you're getting a wet read, right? Like they'd get the film out and then they'd look up and they'd say, oh boy, it doesn't look so good for Kevin. Well, the wet read is a lot of money. A lot of money.
That's great, man.
And we'll see. We've got to get to the bottom of it, but it could be that there is a lot of money being spent that doesn't need to be, and that wasn't appropriated, so therefore it'll reduce the debt when we uncover and stop those payments.
President comes up with a lot of stuff. Some of it seems a little bit impromptu. If you add all the tax on tips, tax on Social Security, extend the tax cuts, take off the cap on Social Security, you add it all up, and in your previous life, you might be pulling your hair out, Kevin. There's a lot of stuff that would be.
What are you saying?
Everything
right
you
now?
just talked about, I spoke with him before he said it, while he was sitting in the car somewhere.
You don't think that it's not all possible without running up a big deficit, is it?
Well, it depends on what we do with spending, and it depends what we do with taxes. But the thing I could say, Joe, is that the president understands that if you want inflation to go down, which is one of his highest, if not his highest priority.
It is currently like 2.8% or something.
Comes the first couple of years under Biden dropped $2,000 per person after going up $6,000 per family under President Trump because of the inflation. So he wants inflation under control. To do that, you have to increase supply and reduce aggregate demand. So you got to cut spending and you got to increase supply. And the way you increase supply is you lower the marginal tax rate on labor and you lower the marginal tax rate on new investments. And so for labor, if you look at the people who aren't working who really want to be, it's people who have really ridiculously high Social Security tax rates. If we've got somebody who can work more overtime.
Yeah, I don't think he misspoke earlier. I think he was just talking about starting a recession. This is what happens when you try to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, like what happens when you're like, we need to bring inflation down no matter what, and the inflation number is like less than 3%, you know?
That's increased labor supply. That helps them make a higher income, and it helps reduce inflation because we have more supply. So President Trump's strategy is 100% sensible, and it's all about...
Again, the idea that increased labor supply would increase wages, it's the opposite. That's the opposite of what it does. Increased labor supply means higher unemployment, means it's easier to replace people if they get fired. Like, labor supply is a euphemism. It's not actually about the supply of labor, which going up is almost always good. It's about how many people are unemployed. He's talking about, yeah, having a reserve army of labor, so you're always able to be threatened with loss of your job because someone can replace you really easily.
Fighting inflation and just delivering prosperity.
100%.
Again, as opposed to
100%.
That's 100%. Okay, like, so maybe there's something he talked about once that was about something else. He does go on, but I'm telling you that when we talk economics,
he thinks
our objective
outside
is
the box.
Increase supply. We want increased supply and lower aggregate demand. That'll give us, wealth for the people, wages for the people, and lower inflation. And that's what I mean. That's 100% is what the strategy is.
I mean, he's told Brett Baer he really is serious about Canada as a 51st state. There are some things that you're laughing, but are there times where you're like coming up with ways to defend some things that seem a little bit maybe outlandish?
This is the closest thing we're going to get to criticism of the Trump regime over the next 4 years, question mark.
When the U.S. was founded, how many states did we have? Okay.
Hey, Kevin.
And how many do we have now? And so is it outlandish? Is it outlandish to dream?
Some of it seems a little outlandish.
I don't think so.
I mean,
so it's crazy to let Hawaii and Alaska come. It's just crazy. It's outlandish that we brought Alaska.
I really like Kevin Hassett's Wikipedia page because it was clearly written by somebody who hates him. Kevin Allen Hassett is an American economist who has been the director of the National Economic Council since 2025. So he was just appointed. He was the senior advisor and chairman to the Council of Economic Advisors from 2017 to 2019, first Trump term. He co-authored Dow 36,000, published in 1999, which argued the stock market was about to have a massive swing upward and would reach 36,000 by 2004. Shortly thereafter, the dot-com bubble burst, causing a massive decline in stock market prices. The Dow did not reach 36,000 until late 2021. That's the opening paragraph.
Canada's really mad.
I got one for you, Kevin.
But I think he's telling you that they are serious.
How do you feel about, Mike Lee took to X yesterday
This is a very serious discussion on economics, by the way.
and said that he wants Ron Paul to be the Fed chair, and your new roomie, Elon Musk, who's next door to you, apparently, said this would be amazing. How do you feel about Ron Paul?
That's great. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I guess normally it's not really this vague, but they're just straightforwardly saying that the plan is to engage in, like, recessionary economic policy. Collapse the economy, bring on deflation. No, they're not going to bring on deflation. At least, well, nah, probably not. Because no one will invest in a deflationary environment. There'd be no reason to invest. Or at least it would be, less incentivized. Lamau, if you scroll down his wiki page more, it says in February 2025, when questioned about President's tariff threats against Canada, he cited his time walking down the street in Edmonton, Alberta one evening as the reason why Canada is the source of America's narcotics addiction problem. Yeah, it sounds about right. He's not actually an economist. He's just a ass kisser to the regime. Like, he doesn't... Like, this is one of the reasons why economists get a bad rep. Do you think this guy's out there, like, publishing papers on economics? No, God, no. It's like you get people, like, some of the most evil politicians alive have, like, law degrees from Harvard. They don't know much about the law. They don't care about the law. That was just a stepping stone for them. Economics is not a real science. No, it's a valid, real social science, and real economists aren't like this. It's like, genuinely, it's a real, like, field of study. It's like to people like this, it's just like a way of legitimizing reactionary economic policies. It's just closer to sociology than math. Yes, that is definitely true. It is a social science. Hmm. Econ keeps assuming people are rational, huh? That's not what that means. No. I love having my beard be the proper shape. It feels fantastic. Non-beard havers wouldn't get it. Behavioral econ busted that whole rational consumer thing. It is unironically, it is a detriment to the general intelligence of leftists that they believe that liberal economists believe that all consumers are rational. The economic framework, the understanding of the consumer as a rational entity doesn't mean they always act rationally. It means they act in their perceived best interest, which means they can easily be misled by advertising, lack of information, whatever else. It's perceived best interest, which is largely true. For the most part, that is the case. Not in all interactions or whatever, but yeah, Can't promise anything, Super Monkey, but I appreciate the offer. Munich sees Trump as a security risk? I mean, that's probably reasonable. Go on, EU. Go on side with China. We deserve it. Well, we're getting the Aaron Rupar clips out of the way. Oh, there's so much to go over. You seen this one? This comes after, by the way, like a bunch. So remember, Donald Trump said while meeting with Netanyahu that the United States would come in and take over the Gaza Strip, which apparently even Trump officials were astonished by. Like, Trump had a conversation with the military-industrial complex, and they were like, this is what we want because it gets us the most money in the long term, but also you have to be coy about it and pretend that we're not, like, that evil. And then Trump forgot about the last bit and walked out there, and he was just like, yep. So then the Trump administration, a bunch of officials tried to desperately walk it back. Trump himself walked it back. They were like, no. We're not taking it over. You know, like the original idea was that we were going to like play security and do cleanup afterwards. But now it's like, no. We're just there to like help assist Israel and the management, temporarily relocating the Palestinians. And now that's gone too. And Trump is like, yeah, the Palestinians, they're not coming back, actually.
Build beautiful communities for the 1.9 million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2, but we'll build safe communities a little bit away from where they are, where all of this danger is. In the meantime, I would...
He's very sweaty.
...own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians have the right to return?
Spent. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better.
Okay, don't worry, guys. They're going to have much better housing.
In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them, because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could ever, it's not habitable. It will be years before it could happen. I'm talking about starting to build, and I think I could make a deal with Jordan. I think I could make a deal with Egypt. You know, we give them billions and billions of dollars.
Jordan, Egypt refusing to take Palestinian refugees is going to be the Trump administration's version of Biden saying, don't worry, guys, Netanyahu will agree to a peace deal any moment now, or something like that, you know? Egypt and Jordan have both been extremely straightforward. I'm sure there's something America could offer them to get them to take in refugees, but, like, we're talking about 2 million or so Palestinian refugees, right? That's a lot of people. Like that, you would you would have to offer Jordan and or Egypt quite a bit for them to be willing to deal with that. Threaten to take away aid? Probably more applicable to Egypt than Jordan. I don't know if it's going to happen, though. It's never going to be cheaper than genocide? Yep. Trump and Netanyahu kind of working their way down towards the final solution approach to what to do with the Palestinian refugees. Arab nations reject Trump's suggestion to relocate Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt and Jordan. Yeah. This is from February 1st, but they've been like really straightforward about this. It seems like Trump is saying this without even doing any backroom dealing. You know what I mean? Like Trump is making these claims first. We're getting news about them first. We're not getting like a bunch of quiet back end dealing, and then Trump comes out and he says something to these, to this end. Trump unilateral policy engine. You gotta love it. And all of it for fucking real estate speculation, man. I bet you he's gonna own some of it. Gonna get another Mar-a-Lago. Give me the full damn segment of that. The full chunk's only 2 minutes. And it's got chaff along with the wheat.
Brett Baer had an exclusive
million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2, but we'll build safe communities a little bit away from where they are, where all of this danger is. In the meantime, I would own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future.
Oh no, that really is the whole thing, because then they go about talking about it. All right, well, that's all you have, I suppose. This was only a brief interview on Air Force One, right? It wasn't like a super lengthy conversation. They just popped in for a sec.
Well, since my term, they're doing an amazing job, I think. California GOP chair of chairs would
show that during the Biden administration were astronomical. I mean, I've heard 8 million, 10 million people allowed to come in the United States.
Wouldn't this definitionally be ethnic cleansing? Yeah, 100%. There's like with no ambiguity whatsoever, though I'm sure people will say that it's anti-Semitic for you to say that or whatever. What is going on Fox News?
So as President Trump's mass immigration enforcement continues,
God, this guy looks
a
like
leaked
shit.
document is detailing a supposed plan by federal authorities to conduct a large-scale raid targeting illegal immigrants in Los Angeles.
Well, this is interesting. The Los Angeles Times has obtained a leaked internal federal document detailing the plans. The outlet reports that the planned raid was going to be such a large-scale operation that ICE agents were also going to be joined by the FBI and DEA. With this raid supposedly set to happen before the end of the month.
Trump's administration is starting to express frustration over these leaks. Newly sworn-in Attorney General Pam Bondi has issued a clear warning.
Have you considered perhaps just not doing things that are so evil that they keep getting leaked to the press? What if you just didn't do stuff that gets leaked to the press, you know? Like, what if breaking new leak from the Trump administration, the leak is an internal memo saying everything's fine, smiley face. Seems like it'd be okay then.
Last night, for those responsible.
If anyone leaks anything, people don't understand that jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. And if you leaked it, we will find out who you are and we will come after you. And it's not going to stop our mission. It's not going to stop the president's mission to make America safe again.
Nothing makes your regime look good than less than 1 month in, you needing to take to a private news network to say, as the attorney general, hey, don't leak stuff. I know we're doing bad stuff. Don't leak it, please. Like, it makes them look like the administration is full of holes. It's like a fucking sieve. Of course there are going to be leaks. Yeah, you skipped security clearances on everyone. Elon Musk and a team of groomed Discord kittens are running around, but to every, like, you know, administrative branch, dragging their balls on the table. There's like no adults in the room, for lack of a better term. Of course there are leaks. It leaked so much during the first admin. This time it's going to be so much worse. Yeah, 100%. And one of the big reasons for that, and I know this sounds crazy because we only really interact with the right wing in the context of like deeply mentally ill Facebook uncles and all of their politician and pundits who are basically just Nazis. But there are a lot of people who work with Republicans who are constantly astounded time and time again of how bad they actually are. Like the fall for it again bit, there are lots of Republicans who are like, I want lower taxes and to cut down on waste. Thank you, Doge. And then they get into like they're like a staffer or they're in some administrative position or whatever. And then they're like, wait, hold on a second. I'm not going to reevaluate my broader political beliefs because those are beyond reproach. However, it is odd how all the people I'm working with are fucking psychopaths. Maybe I should leak something. That happened all the time during the first Trump administration. It wasn't all just like Mitt Romney style neocons who were like ideologically opposed to MAGA. It was people with MAGA who were like, hold on, I have just enough going on in my head to understand that this is potentially really bad, you know? That'll keep happening.
We were very clear with the lawsuit that we filed in Chicago that if you don't follow the law, you will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice.
So this is the latest news. It comes after Trinidad gang members were allegedly tipped off in Colorado just last week ahead of a raid planned there. And raids in Chicago were also delayed last month after another media leak.
Well, between the leaks and the handful of Democrat-led cities still trying to hinder raids and deportation efforts by declaring sanctuary city status, we'll continue to see how President Trump's deportation efforts unfold. But as we see these stories about how apparently there are leaks coming from inside...
They got one person. Denver ICE raids targeting 100-plus gang members yielded one alleged gang member. 29 people were also detained. So what, 29 were just random people and the one was just a single alleged gang member? Okay. Doing well, doing well. Doing good. Literally Juan guy in this case, yeah. ABC News interviewed and obtained Ring doorbell footage from one person that revealed Asian once going door to door. Asking, what does that look like? Can I get a video of that, please?
Federal agents. These raids at sack doors. At one of the apartment complexes, we obtained some Ring video that shows some of these exchanges between ICE agents knocking on these doors and the residents who answer the doors.
Quick question. Do you have any drugs in the house? Can we come in and check? No? Speak English? Okay.
Of course.
Is there anyone in the house? Safety?
No. No, it's just me and my dogs.
Okay.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Well, really the heavy arm of the federal government weighing down on these folks.
Well, law enforcement sources tell us at this particular sweep at that apartment complex that we saw yesterday, they had warrants for 2 apartment residences, 2 units.
Including this one?
But as we saw and as residents told us, they were kind of more going door to door, knocking on many doors throughout.
Yeah, classic. That's what they do this every fucking time. They get like specific info on someone who may or may not actually be undocumented, and then they're like, well, as long as we're in the Mexican neighborhood, we're just gonna hit up everyone, you know? Yeah, never invite them in. Don't even answer the door if you see them out there. Or sorry, don't answer the door. Don't open the door. Like, you can talk through the door, just don't let them in, okay? Yeah, it's good with those like doorbell camera. Can you just not answer? I mean, it depends. If they, you know, in a practical sense, like you not knocking or not answering probably won't amount to much of anything. You can not answer. It's I guess really just a matter of whether or not you feel would prompt them to do anything. Is this a state-by-state thing? If you don't answer and they know you're there, sometimes they'll take that, they'll use that as like a probable cause kind of deal, you know? Like the only reason you wouldn't answer if you were there is because you were, you know, you have like a suspiciously Tren de Aragua member shaped lump in your throat. You know what I mean?
We even saw them stopping cars that were going in and out of the apartment complexes, questioning residents.
Great,
the way
dude.
that ICE agents later explained this was based on their investigations. Some of the people they were targeting who they believed were in this apartment complex tend to hop around from apartment to apartment, moving around. And so that was sort of the reasoning why they felt the need to knock on multiple doors, kind of canvass the entire unit. But we're seeing a lot of this throughout the Denver and Aurora areas, in neighborhoods, in communities, and some of these apartment complexes.
And Mullah, how significant is this scale of these raids for the Denver area? And do you expect them to continue?
At least in PA, if there's evidence to your home, they can just break into your house. My recommendation, if the cops show up, would be to talk to them through the door, or like crack the door if you need to be understood, because you don't want them to see you walking around past the front windows when you're not answering the door, because then that means you're too busy doing fentanyl or something in order to answer the door. Don't even crack the door. Legally speaking, them shoving the door open if you've cracked it is the same as them just breaking your door down. Like, if they're not invited in, they're not invited in. But talk to them through the door if you can.
It looks like the Department of Homeland Security, or ICE, just goes to show you some people are not on board in those departments with the president's plan.
So annoyed by this. I come at it from two prongs. First of all,
some doors still have a metal chain so you can open a bit of talk. Yeah. So they're like vampires? Yeah, you don't invite them in, and if they ask to come in, say no. If they have a warrant, they can just come in anyway. It's not like they need your permission. Well, they do need your permission unless they have the warrant. Throw garlic at them? Don't throw garlic at them.
Got to find out who the leaker is. They got to be prosecuted. The badge needs to be stripped. If they're a part of the administration, they should be banned from working from any type of administration going forward. But number two, and maybe this is just a personal standard because of my connection with law enforcement, I don't think it should be printed. It puts their lives at risk. Maybe that's just a personal view, Carly, but you got to understand the severity.
I understand what you're talking about because we're talking about criminals here. And during President Trump's interview with Brett Baer, the Super Bowl one that aired yesterday, Brett asked him, "What is success? How do you unite the country?" And he says, "The way to unite the country is through success. And getting criminals out of this country who are here illegally is what success looks like."
Right.
And last week,
speaking of, Trump is reportedly angry that deportation numbers aren't as high as he promised. It's driving him nuts. I believe that completely. We saw that. Yeah, the total number of deportations so far hasn't ramped up that much. ICE has gotten a lot of arrests, but a lot of them have just been turned back out because they were literally just like random arrests with no evidence against them. Or like in a lot of cases, they're arresting citizens. You know what I mean? Who are just getting turned back out, or they're undocumented immigrants who are getting turned back out because they don't have the prison space to hold them. They don't have like the capacity to hold them. It's really difficult to do this. So the rule of law holds for now? Yeah, for now. The White House disputed the report. The best way to convince people that you're not mad about the number of deportations you're doing is to respond to an NBC News report directly contradicting it. You know what I mean? Like, don't put in the newspapers that I'm mad, but literally. Hundreds of violent, predatory, and gang-affiliated criminal illegal aliens that have, Jesus Christ, that the fucking word slop, the goddamn key phrase slop here. Violent, predatory, gang-affiliated, criminal illegal aliens have already been rounded up and deported by ICE. Just hundreds? Trump administration official is aligned to securing our borders, ensuring mass deportations are conducted quickly and effectively to put Americans and America first, it said in a statement. According to publicly released figures, the agency's highest single-day total was 1,100 arrests, though it regularly fails to crack 1,000. And this is just arrests. I bet less than like a third of these are actually in line to become deportations. I'd be surprised if it was a third. That would be like a lot. Trump border czar Tom Homan suggested earlier this week that leakers, protesters, and sympathetic members of the press were spoiling the element of surprise for certain operations after a mass Colorado raid intended to target over 100 members of Tren de Aragua attracted public attention and reportedly netted just 30 arrests with a single confirmed gang member. Have they considered the possibility that they might have been giving the game away a little bit by running an entire presidential campaign where they were screaming about the fact that they were going to do all of this? Like, you don't necessarily need internal leaks to figure out when ICE is targeting your city. You can tell because they physically move in. ICE is a federal agency. You see like a big inflow. If you're actually a gang member or even like remotely connected to how this information disseminates, you see when people are coming in, you know, like it's not, there's a limit to how quietly you can do this. Data shows the Biden administration deported more people annually at its peak than any other in the last decade, including Trump. Thank you, Biden. Just check hotel pricing. If it goes up, feds are renting. True. I don't know if that's true or not, actually, but it sounds clever, so I'll agree. True. Oh, that's cute. Chuck Schumer put out like a whistleblower website. But since Chuck Schumer has the charisma of like a raisin, it got no attention whatsoever. I wonder if anyone's going to use this. What if there isn't any leaks and they're just saying the leaks exist to make excuses? Well, I think there are leaks. I just think that these raids would be pretty ineffective even if there weren't leaks. We know that there are again, like, it's not like ICE wasn't doing mass deportations under Biden. That's what the Trump administration is desperately trying to get people to turn their eyes away from, is the fact that, like, the standard that you're trying to drive, the comparison you're making to the previous administration, they were already, in a lot of cases, kind of giving it their all. The bullshit that you heard from Border Patrol or ICE agents about how they were being muzzled by the Biden administration was just bullshit. They were deporting a ton of people, and so was Obama. Like, it's just they were already trying their best. Maybe not necessarily their best, but, you know, there's just a limit to how quickly you can do this sort of thing. Does Trump really want to deport everyone or just go after the easy ones? I maintain that Trump just wants to go after the easy ones. Because the economic consequences of going after, like, even a significant portion of our undocumented immigrants would be ruinous. As a consequence, he probably just wants to really, really, really gas up the propaganda on deporting some of the more obviously criminal ones. Pretend that it's a big deal, you know? By the way, you were correct during the election. I've seen so many middle to old age Republicans who warn their hombres about ICE if they see anything in the neighborhood on Instagram. It's a bit of hopium. Yeah, I actually, it's weird you say that, or maybe not weird, I guess, but it's apropos that you say that, because I got a lot of messages over my weekend break, emails, DMs, whatever, that were basically people saying like versions of that, which was like, hey, I have dipshit Republican parents, but I heard them saying something like, I know that like ex-Hispanic coworkers' grandparents are undocumented or whatever. I hope they're okay, or something like that. Or like, my coworkers are transphobic, but I came out to them like 2 years ago, and they're always being nice to me. So there's like a disconnect, but they still haven't like shifted to being as rude to me personally about it as they are broadly. And again, like, it just comes down to the fact that I really do think people are nicer now than they used to be. I do. It's just easier to connect to people now. It's easier to like, it's easier to engage in this like political obfuscation where you hate X group in like an abstract political way, but interpersonally you're like, well, the one I know is all right. It's not rational, and I'm not defending that hypocrisy. I'm just saying that it's been known to happen. There is a huge difference between being sort of like, anti-gay marriage because you think it's wrong, and being directly hateful towards like a gay cousin you have or something, I'm not saying there aren't people who aren't hateful to their gay cousins, but it's a lot less common. It is really, something like 40% of America, or 34, I don't know, whatever, like a third, we'll say a third to a half, something in the ballpark, whatever, a third to 2/5, get a range, whatever you want, is opposed to gay marriage politically. But I don't think a third to 2/5 of Americans would be like vitriolically homophobic to a person they knew and cared about. Maybe like a tenth. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. People did that in Nazi Germany too. There's literally a big speech from Goebbels where he's like, stop protecting your one Jewish friend to a bunch of high-ranking Nazis. Yeah, they did that too. But we're not quite there yet, thankfully. You know, it's just, I think it's important to understand. Hey, Vosh, news of it got heavily overshadowed by the Super Bowl, but my friend got caught up in an ICE raid in Philly during the Super Bowl. How rude. You're doing ICE raids in Philly during the Super Bowl? What do you go do? I guess because you know everyone's at home. He was released because he's a citizen, but he missed the win. Did he catch halftime? Trump hates the birds? Well, yeah. As someone who doesn't really follow sports, I was delighted to see that you saw, what's the, you know, what was that one tweet? I can always tell when a big sports event is happening in the United States because Maoists start tweeting like, I'm so happy to see the proletarian vanguard X team finally defeating the petite bourgeois reactionary revisionist America can you know, Y team or something, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's a, and that's all I saw with the Chiefs and the Eagles. So I'm glad that the, you know, third worldist backed pick won on that one. Kendrick was drippy too. Yeah, I mean, I saw the halftime show, and we'll talk about that. We'll get to that, you know, don't worry. He missed the halftime show, literally arrested just before it. That was the worst halftime show ever. 400-pound MAGA America can. Yeah, basically. You forgot to say they were white. Why are we calling the Chiefs fascists? I don't know. Vibes? I don't know. Literally every single conservative / pedo on Twitter hated it all. You repeat yourself. Kind of cool how in the wake of you know, like American fascism like really rearing its head, kind of cool that the Super Bowl halftime show was like, what was the last time one was that black? I don't know enough about sports, but that was like pretty up there in the how black the halftime show was, you know? Like if you were sort of rating them along the spectrum. Bruno Mars, maybe? Really? I don't want to say anything untoward. You know, I'm aware of what my my skin color is, but Prince, maybe? Okay, well, that's before my time. I don't know. Here's that Maoist tweet. The Kansas City Chiefs, parentheses racist, have been abolished by the vanguard of all oppressed nations. Glory to the People's Republic of Philadelphia and all who defend them. Exactly. This is the capacity in which I want to engage with sports. Pretty much like that, and then I'm done. I'm good. Okay, somebody linked me Elon Musk replying 100 to a tweet, and I think the context of this was that Elon is being more open about replying to Nazis. It's literally from a suspended account. What the fuck did they do? What was 100? Now I'll never know. Is it Kanye? Was it Kanye? I don't know. Oh, this one? This is what he 100 did too? Why did the account get banned right after? Do you think it was like quickly deleting all his stuff to protect Elon? Ooh, I bet that's actually it. Like, you don't get banned off of Twitter by being a Nazi, you know? So yeah, I wonder if when Elon realized that he had like replied to someone who was too much of a Nazi, he was like, we'll just ban them so people can't see. That's the only thing that I can really think of. That guy probably got a cabinet nomination and needed to clean his Twitter account. Yeah, Elon's just replying to the people working in Doge, you know? It's just people working in the DOE right now. Yeah, this is like a surprising lack of plausible deniability, though. Stayed up for 6 hours after? I guess nobody really pays attention to all of Elon's tweets because he tweets like once every 4 seconds and all of it is retarded. Like there's never anything interesting there. Public warning, know your enemy. Do you need to provide a list of dog whistles when the pictures that are being provided look like this? It reminds me of like the people on Twitter being like, I think this guy might be a Nazi. And it's like this, they're posting this, you know? It's not a dog whistle, it's a foghorn, you know? Oh, there's a Tesla symbol in here. Sorry, I'm stupid. They were one level up on me in the joke. I was making fun of them for being kind of like naive and unaware, but in reality, I'm stupid. It happens a lot. This is the problem with reflexively judging under people, I say, having, like, just reflexively judge somebody, you know? Because once you've judged somebody, if they get one up on you, you look like a damn fool. Not judging other people is in a way a kind of, like, guarding of oneself, because you're sort of shielding your own ego against the consequences of making a bad judgment, you know? Ratio them just to be safe. Get blown up. It's big YouTube engagement. I bet you that's why the account's suspended, though. Hey, speaking of Twitter stuff, you see Kanye said goodnight, y'all? He had his fun on Twitter, and then he dipped. Wait, really? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of boring past a point, right? Probably for him too, because he just goes on there and he's like, Nazi, 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 Hail Hitler, Hail Hitler, Hail Hitler. And then like he kind of runs out of juice because he's not that funny. He's just so boring. Well, but it's kind of true, right? Like I really do think there's an artlessness to it. There's no denying that Kanye's done some really like artistically impressive stuff, and everyone agrees that his art is shit now, and he's less funny. Like the only times that he's funny is when he's it's like funny in the watching someone have a mental breakdown kind of way. But that's not the same. That's not like that. You can be incidentally funny there, but his t-shirt just has one shirt. His site now has one t-shirt on it, and it's just the swastika. Didn't he say he wouldn't do that? Well, not that it matters. There you go. There's the one Kanye merch now. He's doing great. He's selling the Hitler shirt. I mean, dude, whatever. So people wear it, and then what happens? They get jumped in the street. Didn't you see what happened in Cincinnati? In Ohio, Gat? Where a bunch of those dipshit, dickless, red and black Nazis got jumped by black civilians and got their shit burned, you know? And then there are people in the area who are just standing on like point with their guns. Can we get a fashion review on that t-shirt? It's fucking boring. You know, Kanye used to be like an icon in menswear, right? I wasn't really into menswear at the time. But he did some pretty interesting stuff, often pretentious and, like, overpriced, but interesting. This is... Yeah. Pardon me for my wokeness. Pardon me for the intersection of my political values and my interest in fashion, but I don't actually like the plain white swastika t-shirt. You know? I know. Ah, this guy. Uncultured. He doesn't even see the bit. He doesn't understand it at all. Well, anyway. excuse me, doesn't see the subtle placement of the swastika. Oh my God. Exactly 2 3/4 inches from the bottom of the collar. Oh, the tasteful width. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Apparently, before Kanye got yeeted, well, he didn't get yeeted. He yeeted himself. And by the way, he'll be back in like a week or something. You know, it's not like he's consistent or reliable. Didn't he post a fuck ton of porn before leaving? Because he's like a massive porn addict. He loves porn. Isn't one of the things, because the word gooning, totally misused now, okay? Because I remember the goon packs, all right? The original gooners wasn't part of the kink that the porn they was into was boring. Like, I remember people posting the goon folders, and it's like pictures of women with big tits standing there making like a you know, sultry look at you or whatever, right? It'd be like you Google like big boobs hot lady and then stick photos of that, like print them out and put them in a folder or something. Like part of it is that it's boring because that like heightens the degeneracy of being the porn addict, right? Like it's more degenerate to be a porn addict if you're a porn addict to stuff like that because it's so vanilla and uninteresting that it's like, wow, you must be so much of a porn addict in order to get off to that. He's a real gooner. Or just a boring person, I guess. It's Kanye. I don't think he's a boring person. That's not the first criticism that I would make of him. Are you measure heading people's porn habits? No, I think there's something to this. I think it's a real thing. I think there's a relationship between Kanye's neo-Nazism, his misogyny, and him being a very loud, like, you know, performatively public porn addict. Like, I think that's real. I think that they're like, what the fuck is a gooner? Zigabiz, you've been here long enough. You know what it is. Stop baiting. Like, there's a real dynamic to that. Classic fascism comes from being weird about women a moment. Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I think there's something to it. I'm afraid to Google what is a gooner. You can't watch my shit and be this unaware, okay? Daft Punk said he was blasting porn in the studio. Is that real? I saw someone tweet that Kanye was watching so much porn in the studio that it caused one of the members of Daft Punk to like start hallucinating or something like that. That's real? That's crazy. And they are French? That's also crazy. What a fucking loser. I think it's like, okay, you know how he parades his naked wife around and he really likes denigrating women? Like part of his all caps tweets were about how like he makes the choices for her and stuff like that. I think it all ties together. We're like a very it's like a very crass and degraded version of performing heterosexuality, where you're like, this is how much I like women, but only as objects, right? Like, I like women, but only in the context of like, you know, them as objects of pornographic consumption, or like my wife follows me around completely naked because like a show of ownership or something, that kind of stuff, you know? The opposite of Joe Cat. We finally found him. We found the Tagoj in the wild. He totally is addicted, but it's also got to be a power play to blast porn and make everyone uncomfortable. Yeah, to an extent, you know, kind of like a, you know, no one else can handle the level at which I'm willing to degrade women. Like, I'm on another level with that shit. No. Just further evidence to the infinite, you know, and eternally relevant overlap between being a Nazi and being weird about women. It's called goon mogging. Impressive stuff. He clearly likes making people uncomfortable. Yeah, but I don't think it really works anyway, or anymore. I think it mostly just makes people kind of disgusted by him. Like, I don't think anyone was uncomfortable when he revealed his naked wife at the Grammys. It was mostly just like, wow, he's lost it, get them out of here or something. Or like, I don't know, wow, she's hot, because she is. It's not like you're not out here popping the monocles out of the eyes of, you know, country club attendees or anything like that. You're mostly just, people are like, okay, well, point of evidence number 483 that he's lost his damn mind. Isn't disgust at least attention? Well, yeah, it's all just a kind of attention-seeking behavior because he's insecure. I don't know, but it's still not lost on me that he modeled his new wife after Kim. I mean, you can be mad about that, but is Kanye perhaps the only Nazi, the only right-wing figure in public attention who's not a pedophile? Unless I'm forgetting something, like, to my knowledge, literally, like, every other person in that broader orbit, he probably is, though. But he, for the most part, he just seems to like stacked women. Well, he did say free Diddy. Yeah, but that was probably more of a attention-getting thing. I don't know. I don't think he considers women as adult humans. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a misogynist. Whatever. Let's see. Elon Musk and investors offering it's about $100 billion for control of OpenAI. If this happens, I think it's a good thing, because I think that all the world's evil companies should be controlled by the world's stupidest and most insecure man. I'm not joking. I would much rather OpenAI be controlled by Elon Musk than what's the guy's name? The current dipshit, the freak, who like allegedly molested his sister, and Sam Altman. Yeah. And talked about how we need a new social contract or whatever. Yeah. At least we know Elon is very stupid. Sam Altman said, no thank you, but we'll buy Twitter for $10 billion if you want. Musk then replied to the OpenAI chief on X, calling him a swindler, and it replied to a different user calling him Scam Altman. Fantastic. You know, this infighting shit is good. I endorse it. The girls are fighting? Oh, yeah. Why the fuck do I have so many goddamn links?
Do you view Vice President J.D. Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that it, you know, I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
But by the time you get to the midterms, he's going to be looking for an endorsement.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks, in the history of the presidency.
It's been the fastest and the most stuff
Well,
happened.
we've done so
The
much,
bestest?
so fast, and we really had to, because they have really, what they've done to our country is so sad. It's so sad. We're going to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before.
I mean, he's being honest at least, right? Can you imagine if he was like earnestly, yeah, I think that J.D. Vance will be a great successor to me, and then a bunch of people in the Republican establishment were like, I don't know. Trump to pause enforcement of law banning bribery of foreign officials. Oh, that's nice. Huh. Signing executive order. Okay. So this is like, it's full on in an EO. I mean, it's like very straightforward. Okay. Gotcha. We'll sign an executive order directing the Department of Justice to pause enforcing a nearly half-century-old law that prohibits American companies and foreign firms from bribing officials of foreign governments. Again, my pardoning on this. Where are we falling on like the constitutionality of this? If it's a law, that means Congress passed it. The executive branch has the obligation to faithfully enact the law. If this is a law, I mean, I doubt, this is even enforced that much anyway. The pause will be implemented to avoid putting U.S. businesses at an economic disadvantage to foreign competitors. Classic. The FCPA's intent is in part to prevent American firms from fueling rampant public corruption that undermines the rule of law in many parts of the world. I understand what the issue is. This is about China. The concern here basically is that they want to be able to bribe these third world countries into taking American business contracts rather than them going with the Chinese. That's like the primary competition here. That's the reason why it's a economic disadvantage to foreign competitors. Did you see he's stopping the minting of pennies? He's probably literally seen that CGP Grey video. He's very online. Musk says Treasury, Doge instituting reporting changes to all government payments. Huh? The payments will include a new categorization code and a rationale for the money spent. For all the money spent, they need to like add a prompt to it. In addition to the like trillions of dollars being dispersed through the Treasury, they have to add like a post-it note to explain all of it. Why is he standing like that? Very Scrooge-like here, don't you think? Payment categorization code for auditing purposes. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean anything until it gets like properly implemented. Trump cuts aid to South Africa over racial discrimination against Afrikaners. President Musk really pushing for this one, I imagine. Really, really aggressively. Uh-oh. Capella's discovered the jingly toy. Capella! Hello! Toot, toot, toot. You can't have the jingly toy while I'm working because it jingles. Let her have it after stream. Capella. Tricked her. Hello. Wow. Ooh, playful. Hello. Cute. I'll play with you more after stream. You have no idea how difficult my job is. I have to pay taxes and everything. Though thanks to the no tax on tips, maybe not as much as was needed before. Trump wants to bring Afrikaners into the U.S. Of course, that's the kind of immigration he wants. Job? Hardest job in the world. I don't see you doing it. All right. Want to see something a little bit heartwarming? Oh, she's playing around now. Yeah, girl with the guitar. We're getting to that. Don't worry. What breed is Ruben? Ruben's a Devon Rex. Okie dokie. You've probably already seen this. So it's not exactly news to you. But in Cincinnati, Ohio, some Nazis that like to showboat there from time to time, they got their asses beat. You saw that, right? Unironically based. Yeah, they, you know, there's a whole lot of information about, I'm super late to it. You know, I just wanted to acknowledge it. I imagine everyone else already talked about it. It was a pretty clear and cut demonstration of, you know, how to deal with this business. I like how these people act so tough, but they are such bitches when they come under any scrutiny. Did you see, there's this one clip, and it was recorded by the Nazi, where they roll up on a guy in a car, a black guy who's dancing, and the guy has a gun. And the Nazi is like, this N-word, he's got a gun, he fucking N-word. Like super, super mad, like had no idea what to do, you know? And the black guy didn't give a shit, he was just DJ Peppoing. Yeah.
What's up, nigga? Yeah, we see your gun, bitch. You see that gun? Power. You're going to jail, bitch. Fucking nigga. Power. Fucking nigga. You fucking nigga.
Yeah. Run.
You pulled a gun. Hey. Yeah.
I loved the "you're going to jail, bitch," which no. Like the immediate deference, like you all of this pomp and circumstance with the Nazi bullshit, but they act like what they are, which is a suburbanite whiteoid whose wife doesn't put out, you know? Like all of this, oh yeah, we're the brown shirts, we're the ones doing the violence, and then it's like, oh, the cops are gonna come for you. This is a neighborhood watch neighborhood. They've always been like this. We used to bust them out in the skate park. They're such pussies. Well, yeah, of course. They're massive pussies. It's just, you know, funny to see it play out like that. And it's always like this, you know? Anyway, afterwards, yeah, a bunch of the black folk in the area, I guess. I mean, they were like posting up in the neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely.
What matters is that they're having fun.
Look at my baby. Fuck you talking about? What is you talking about? My baby at, man. Yeah, what D doing? Fuck dick suck coming. Fuck on. Alright, cool. Let the cars come. Just don't let them people come back no more. I ain't gonna even say Cincinnati, nigga. This Lincoln Heights.
Legal to open carry there, I assume? Yep. So again, it's one of the things that does give me a lot of hope about the future of this country, which is like as bad as things have gotten, because I make a lot of Nazi comparisons that are mostly informed by like the underlying logic of what is happening. And don't get me wrong, like a ton of people in Trump's administration are just Nazis. But, you know, there's a pretty big difference between the administration being Nazis but desperately throwing out like coded right wing, you know, like how they have to pretend they're pro equality and shit, versus them just openly saying like, yeah, I think white people are better, and brown shirts getting away with what they want, versus brown shirts getting their shit stomped, and like 500 black people in the neighborhood around them just showing up in the corner with their guns. Massive vibe difference. Best video. Is this the flag burning one? Oops, didn't pause that. Loud.
Burn that bitch up. Burn that bitch up, man. Let that bitch burn. Let that bitch burn. Yeah. I'm out. Still off 15 shit.
Tragically, it's actually quite difficult to burn flags. They're all like polyester, right? You know? Back in the good old days, etc., etc. Plastic flags. Nazi microplastic. I mean, hold a lighter to it for a while. Yeah, but it's Cincinnati. It's probably cold, winds blowing. They're trying their best, you know? This is going to lead to a nationwide Governor Reagan-style weapons ban before school shootings do. Well, that's the thing. That's one of the things that it's sort of a little bit heartwarming here, is that to my understanding, basically everyone's siding with the black people here. Like, this isn't like a Proud Boys kind of situation where the Proud Boys engaged in that same, masking, where a lot of the Proud Boys were Nazis, but they pretended to just be a good old boys right-wing such-and-such club. In this case, the opposition was unambiguously Nazi opposition. You know what I mean? So to that end, it's like, oh, well, obviously everyone hates Nazis.
National headlines.
WLWT News 5's Richard Childs tracking the growing response to the demonstration even this morning. Richard.
Now, Megan, good morning. Hate has no place in our community. That message echoing all across the tri-state. Now, this all started on Friday when we showed you this video of the demonstration by white supremacists on this overpass between Evendale and Lincoln Heights. You can see almost a dozen people waving swastikas and holding signs with hateful messages. A crowd of community members surrounded the group, who then boarded a U-Haul, drove off. Now, people quickly responding, displaying signs over that same overpass that read "Love Wins" and "All are welcome here." Yesterday, dozens gathered at Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church, all to send a message that hate has no place in Lincoln Heights or elsewhere in this community. There's another meeting that's scheduled for this afternoon with community leaders as well as faith-based members.
I don't want to engage in the kind of like race baiting that some people do on Twitter for clout, especially white people. But I do think that white leftists could probably learn a little bit from black liberals, because I guarantee you that this crowd of like mixed age black people are not all card carrying members of the CPUSA or whatever. They're just like authentically concerned for their community and well-being. And what is that based on? Well, they're going to have like a post meeting at a church. This is based on community. You know, the thing when the brown shirts come, the thing they'll be relying on is that all of you have your Discord kittens and your Discord daddies, but you order your groceries via DoorDash and you don't know the name of your neighbors. If like the thing that 100% beats that kind of brown shirt nonsense is when they show up in your neighborhood and you call out, "Hey, get the fuck out here, something's going on," and all your neighbors recognize your voice and they come on out. Like, there is nothing a group of 20 to 30 gun-wielding neo-Nazis hate to see more than 500 to 600 gun-wielding not neo-Nazis just casually striding out in unison. Which sounds crazy today, but it literally, like, used to be like that because people knew their neighbors and shit, you know? And in a lot of black communities and a lot of Hispanic communities, and presumably, though I know less about it, in a lot of Asian communities, that's still the case. But there is a particular kind of alienation, I think, that is at least more common in white neighborhoods or mixed race neighborhoods. In cities, people tend not to know the people they live around, you know, that kind of stuff. Now a lot of people have Trump neighbors. Yeah, but here's the thing, and I mean this. If you know your neighbor and they're a Trump supporter, I bet you they also don't want people with the swastikas in their community. It's not that far gone. Maybe for some Trump supporting neighbors, I'm not going to make claims about all of them, but I'm telling you, like, generally speaking, yeah, like, you know. Most people ain't Nazis. North Idaho. If you live in North or West Idaho, disregard what I have just said. If you see Nazis outdoors, the only thing you should say is hello neighbor, and then go back inside and save up more money to move, okay?
Members in local schools.
Anytime you have white supremacists, neo-Nazis come to the gateway of a historic black community, time is up. There's nothing left, right? There's no ground that is sacred. And to do it at 2:30 in the afternoon when you know that babies are being dismissed from school, that is an act of terror, clear and front and center.
Now, as for the group of white supremacists, the Evendale police called the demonstration on Friday hateful, but said that it was a legal gathering. Richard Childs, WLWT News 5.
All right, Richard, thank you. President Donald Trump says he'll announce new...
Now segueing into the next Nazi segment. My immediate neighbor is a black guy who's homophobic against white gay people, but is friends with my black gay roommate. That's very funny. It's like a, what is that? Like a Black Hammer vibe right there. There's like a very specific, like Black Hebrew Israelite dynamic there, you know? Black homosexuality is actually liberatory, but white homosexuality is Jacobian, something like that, perhaps? I don't know. Scientists haven't figured it out yet. I don't understand. That's okay. We can't all be in touch with the streets like me. Why do American Nazis have a black banner with red swastika? That's not American Nazis. That's just one specific group. They all have their own. They all have their own fucking micro community version of the, you know. Red and black is a particular giveaway though, because it's really edgy. It's like the edgy version of being a I mean, being a Nazi in general is edgy, but you know what I mean. It's like Nazism via Shadow the Hedgehog, Matoi Ryuko, you know, color palette. Dark gothic Nazi. Yeah, exactly. Nazi, but in the Gothica font on the hat. We saw Skynet, we saw. You can't be goth and a Nazi? I don't think you can't. I do think it's funny how desperate some Nazis are to claim that they can, you know? And then you usually get like, there will be like a woman who's very clearly never put on goth makeup in her life, like slapping black eyeliner on. And she's like, look, even goth girls love Trump or something. But you know that she's just doing it for like the attention from men, which is funny because that's the kind of behavior they would condemn in other women. You know what I'm talking about, right? It makes sense because, like, if you think about it, there are a ton of sexual archetypes that, since so many fascists, like, their fascism is kind of rooted in stuff like misogyny and porn addiction, you know, it probably gets their goat a little bit that a lot of the archetypes they find attractive are almost exclusively coded to the left, you know? Like, you can find right-wing femboys online. If you want to go on Grindr and find an actual, like, feminine guy or twinkie guy or androgynous person or whatever the fuck, like, that person's going to be a communist. You can find online, like, drawings of goth girls drawn by right-wingers. If you go in real life and you go find the goth girls, I can tell you, I don't know who she voted for. I can tell you, you know, which bass-boosted national anthem she, you know, plays on the Discord calls with her friend group on Valorant. You know, it's just, like, it must bother them. You know, sexual liberation is exclusively, like, a left-coded... You know what I mean? I think this is one of the reasons why there's that really weird obsession in like a very particular niche internet micro community of like valorizing the existence of right-wing or neo-Nazi trans women or femboys or whatever the fuck else, because it's a broadly popular category of people when it comes to the sexual interests of straight men, especially very online straight men. And it also literally, like, all of them in real life are left-leaning, so they really want to hold on to the idea that there's like some third way, you know? Untrue, there's an infamous Latino femtwink on Philly Grinder who keeps bannovating, who's a full-blown white supremacist. And let me guess, he's into getting railed by white guys. The Latino femtwink? Of course. I'm not touching that. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. Hello! Ooh, she's tweaking. She's tweaking. Is this an example of horseshoe relationship theory? I don't think it's controversial to say that the right is obsessed with the left in a psychosexual fashion. Because again, no one is going, no gooner, no perma-online misogynist porn addict is going online and looking up like aesthetics or acts of pornography associated with sexual repression. Or maybe like 5 of them are. Overwhelmingly, you're going to see like a cavalcade of shit they would call degenerate, you know? Little dark age, big boobies, goth mommy, feet, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's all of it, you know. Don't forget the obsession with AOC and the race fetishizing and the this and the that, you know? They're not out there like, even when they show trad wives, it's porn trad wives. Like, they're like, yeah, I want a traditional woman. Here's a woman on a farm wearing like a low-cut evening dress, and you can like basically see her nipples through the fabric or something. Like, oh yeah, very trad wife. Yeah, it's just like you're so fake. I live with 15 Christian conservatives in a college house. They all struggle with women. This is not surprising to me. Sorry, I'm solely attracted to the Mar-a-Lago face. That's another thing, too. Yeah, that's another... Sorry, I don't know enough about makeup to really... Literal bimboification. Can you imagine how much internalized misogyny you would need to have in order to be a Republican official and a woman, you know? Dude, like, oh my God. Like, doesn't it, do you think it fucks them up looking in the mirror? Not even talking about the surgery being bad or anything, but it's like how you have to bloat your face to look like a permanent 20-year-old or something, no matter how ineffectively you're attempting to do so. Like, it's just forever and ever. It's crazy. She looks so fine. This is just like a normal 45, I don't know, 40, 50 something. It's just a normal woman, you know? Normal mom-aged woman relative to my age, I guess. I don't know. Why is it always the eyes? Because the Botox, it makes it hard to, you know, emote with the eyes. It's crazy. You saw the viral Republican makeup, like TikTok, right? Of that makeup artist who did really bad makeup on herself, and like it went viral, and People seemed really mad about it. Well. You see the lesbian drama? With the Kill Yourself t-shirts? Yeah, I saw that. It is the Hey Gal hoodie. Except I've seen people wearing the Hey Gal hoodie in real life, and I've never seen any woman wearing the Kill Yourself t-shirt in real life, so maybe we're kind of like, you know, misrepresenting it in a proportionality sense. The what? You just have to keep up. You have to do your own work. I'm sorry. I can't keep you all up on it. What is this?
Do the girls respond to the videos of people being like, I've never seen a pretty Trump supporter? And you guys are like, then what do you call this? What do you call this? I'm really gonna need you to stop doing that, okay? Because I'm gonna have to hold your hand and hurt your feelings when I say this.
This wasn't that funny. The setup for this was kind of coded in the premise of the joke. There's nothing subversive about it. As a supreme comedy enjoyer, you talking about this one? Don't link me another TikTok. Those things always autoplay. Get me out of here. I thought it was funny. That's okay. I forgive you. We have one more thing to talk about before we talk about Trump saying he's going to ignore the courts, which is fun. We're going to have like a moment with that one. Where is the... This was from the 9th. This has to be talked about. I don't think that's true, the arrived hussars. I think you might be lying. Where the hell is that full clip? I want the full clip. Full clip of what? Hakeem Jeffries saying, like, we can't do anything because we're powerless. We're powerless and we can't do anything. That one, you know? It's just so pathetic. Yeah, I saw it. We tried nothing. We're all out of ideas. I'm trying to find the full thing right now. Not just a 10-second clip. Got it? How do you people do that? Is this the full clip, Dionysus Fox? This is 13 seconds long. I don't know what you'd consider a full clip, Dionysus Fox. But, I don't think so. Now, I appreciate the effort. And for that reason, your family will be spared. Mods... raid this man's sock drawer and run them under the tap for a few seconds and then put them back in the sock drawer. That's a UTI waiting to happen. I get it. Running a little slow today. You know, that's okay. You're kind of ripping the cord on the lawnmower, you know? I want that full clip, by the way. I'm going to take a piss. Have it for me by the time I send you. Is this the full clip? I don't get it. It was Game of Thrones. Ooh. Acapella. Oh. Hello. Any luck? Come on. There's like 10,000 people here. You guys can't find a single news clip? Here's the CNN upload. Thank you. Jesus. Is it from 6 days ago? That is not the correct clip. You people. You guys. This one is.
Trump will need Democratic votes in the House and Senate to avoid a government shutdown on March 14th. Some in the rank and file are agitating for a showdown. As Congressman Jim McGovern told us, quote, "We're not a cheap date."
That's great. I don't
House
care.
and Senate Democratic leaders are being far more cautious.
In this, can't make these down.
One House Democrat told me Jim Hine
argument, which is like,
that's not the right clip at all. I hate you people. Is it the Klippenstein clip? You guys can't be this incompetent at your day jobs, or you wouldn't have the money to donate to me, okay?
Are actually willing now to sit down.
Here we go. Live, the Hakeem Jeffries weekly press conference. It's really interesting stuff over here.
At the table and reach a spending agreement in the best interest of the American people, not in the best interest of their billionaire donors.
I'm actually asking, this isn't me being rhetorical. Was he this anti-charismatic 4-6 years ago? Because I feel like I remember him being not this bad. Maybe it's just like it. Maybe it was just like it didn't matter as much before. I don't know. He's actually become more charismatic. Ah.
To what extent are Democrats willing to withhold votes? You're arguing about the mandate withstanding, but withhold votes to avoid a government shutdown, and what do you need in exchange? In particular, when it comes to, do you see it as an opportunity to try to stop Musk or
I appreciate the question, Kevin, but I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have?
There we go.
Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
The remarkable there's so much to say about this, because it might actually be one of the worst things I've ever heard about a Democrat, or sorry, not about, from a Democrat. It might actually be one of the most, like, because we talk a lot about Democrat incompetence and Democrat abstemiousness, but this gives the game away so much. Like, it's not anything new. We know they feel this way. But first of all, framing this as their government, as opposed to the, the American people's government that they currently control. Is he wrong, though? Yeah, he's wrong. First of all, no Republican is this defeatist. Did they talk this way after Obama won everything back in 2008? No. Maybe some of them did. This guy's the House leader, or minority leader, you know? He's doing this in a press conference. It's just, I don't think he thinks he's lying here. I just think that he's that ideologically captured. I think that Democrats legitimately don't understand that it is possible to change people's minds. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, it kind of makes sense in the context of their, like, consultancy-based understanding of the world. When Republicans are on the back foot on an issue, they will lie and argue and lie and argue and lie and argue until people agree with them. They will do anything and everything they can. That's why people's perspective on immigration has changed so much from 2020 to now. But I don't think Democrats think that's possible. I think when Democrats are, you know, disagreed with on the issue, they're like, well, it's not that we need to convince people that we're right. We just need to acquiesce until we arrive at the position people are already at. It's kind of the ratchet effect, right? Republicans push to the right, then Democrats prevent you from going further to the left. But this tone, like, he is one of the highest ranking Democrats, and he is essentially signaling we will do nothing. Like nothing. And it's so whiny too. It's not even like a matter of having the stones to acknowledge, like, okay, well, we don't care, or we agree with them on this issue or another. Time for a third party. I don't think you can make a third party in this environment, but the Democrats are doing everything in their power to make themselves irrelevant. The crazy thing is, 4 years ago, I thought the opposite was happening, because after January 6th failed, my understanding was, and I apologize, I really do, I apologize for my naivete. I thought Merrick Garland and Biden would do literally anything. Like, Trump literally attempted an insurrection that failed, and there was a huge wave of public backlash against him. Even Republicans were distancing themselves. Republican voters were like, okay, hold on. I thought, my assumption was that Trump would be legally collapsed, and without Trump, the Republican Party would be basically irrelevant. They would no longer have the sauce needed to continue the party, at least not for a few elections. Obviously, that didn't happen. And now the Democrats are signaling greater irrelevance than Republicans did in 2008 or in 2021 after Jan 6 failed. So, man, fuck it. Maybe there will be a third party. I don't know. More likely a Third Reich. Well, it would be a fourth one now, right? Independence with Bernie. We have got to cut ourselves away from this expectation, man. It's so fucked that Bernie's 1,000 years old and he's still like the main go-to. I mean, it's bad for Republicans that that's the case with them too. But, you know,
we are going to try to find bipartisan common ground.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ.
On any issue, we will work with anyone in this town to get things done for the American people, to lower the high cost of living, secure the border, and keep
secure the border,
our communities safe, while defending dreamers, farm workers, and families at the same time.
Not even saying anything oppositional, you know? Just that he's, like, selectively complicit in the doing of the administration. Again, like, I don't think they can change people's minds. I genuinely think that ideologically they don't believe that's a thing that can happen. Republicans were more defeatist after Romney lost than they were when McCain lost. And you know what? If it wasn't for Trump, they would have gotten trounced in 2016. Hillary was a really bad candidate, but any other Republican primary frontrunner would have lost but Trump. Because Trump was the Republican Party's realization that the only way forward was to kowtow to dumb, hyper-nationalistic populism. And they did it. And because of that, they won. And they needed Hillary to be the weak candidate that they opposed. A lot of things had to work for that to be possible. But now they've molded themselves after that. The Democrats have done no such thing. They've moved away from it. How is this appealing to Republicans? It's not. The Democrats still operate in a dead ideological framework where bipartisanship is a desirable value. No Democrat, and I mean none, want their elected representatives to get along with Republicans. Have you talked to a liberal lately? Like a regular, they're fucking angry. No one's buying this shit. It's not 2009 anymore. The average liberal voter is not out here going like, well, I'm glad Hakeem Jeffries is willing to work with Trump on whatever, shared interest they have. They're furious. The Democrats are ideologically irrelevant. It's not just lefties. It's generally across the board. Isn't this like a perversion of the end of history? To an extent, yeah. I think you could make that argument for sure. Where like the Democrats are operating on the assumption that because everything that can be done has been done, the only thing that's left is to make like marginal appeals to bipartisanship within the framework of what people already agree. They don't want to make a case for anything they believe in. They just want to say like, well, we'll do our version of what the Republicans are doing. Oh, is immigration unpopular right now? Okay, then we'll lean into that. Whatever. We don't really have any principles. Republicans have principles. They're just evil principles, Jeffries met with Silicon Valley donors to try to repair relationships with them. That's great, man. We'll also let you rummage around in the federal government and unconstitutionally block payments if you want to. We'll also let you operate as like a de facto fourth branch of the government. We're willing to work with you on... It is difficult to make arguments against Jeffries that don't sort of denigrate into angry, like frothing at the mouth physiognomical critique. Because his dead fish eyes are actually like, they're distracting. Like when you look at them, it feels like every other criticism fades away and you just want to attack him for that. Because it's really bad. Like it's really bad. It's worse than almost any other politician I've seen. At least a lot of Republican politicians just look evil. Like they look animated in their evil. He's unique in this. Why would oligarchs choose a party that won't give them complete control? They're obviously going to go for the one taking the guardrails off. Yeah, no, it literally, even in meetings with the oligarchs, he's still adopting that framework. We can be a lesser version of the party you do like. That's what we offer. We don't offer anything different. We can be a lesser version of the party that you do like, Freaky shit, man. Has anyone else noticed a rise in the Nazis were actually socialist propaganda? They've been running with that one pretty aggressively since Trump first took office. I don't think that's necessarily new. The singular focus was, how do we ensure Silicon Valley remains with Democrats, said one of the people who participated. Because right now, Silicon Valley is feeling very purple. That's great. If the Democrats are weak and unwilling to work towards change, what changes this situation from any other in politics in the U.S.? We can't rely on third party, can we? What else is there to do? To be honest with you, I don't really know. From a logistical perspective, just making a third party isn't going to happen. A hostile takeover of the Democratic Party by like a younger, more populist wing seems more likely, but also pretty unlikely. It's just tough. Like the DNC, there's so much legacy and momentum and weight that like the idea of it being taken over by a young feisty group of, somethings. It's difficult. I don't know. I mean, the most you could really say is that because the average Democratic politician seems to be completely spineless and have no real beliefs, if the population ever gets so sick of Trump that it becomes possible or I guess like imaginable to them to appeal to that sentiment, then maybe they would. I don't really know. But it's pretty bad. Yeah. I just, yeah, I don't know. I think the big the big look, I mean, the big like indicator we're going to get will be 2026, right? Because whatever like shambling zombie, you know, animated remnant of an electoral system that persists up to that point, there is going to be backlash against the Democrats and the Republicans. For sure, for sure. Because by then, we're probably going to be deep in the wake of whatever economic crisis the Republican administration has foisted on us in favor of enriching like 5 people. And the Democrats will have continued to do nothing. And my hope is that we get some genuine dark woke shit going on from some Democratic reps. There are Democratic reps, mostly junior congressmen, you know, who are angry, who are rhetorically competent, at least to some extent, who might see the, you know, the writing on the wall leading into 2026, and they're like, wow, people distrust the DNC so much that I could win here on anti-Democrat sentiment. Not from the right, but from the left. Like, I can do what Bernie Sanders and AOC couldn't do. Bernie and AOC ran in a country where the Democrats were liked enough that being openly anti-Democrat as a lefty wasn't electorally viable. And it wasn't, trust me. But now, with Hakeem Jeffries acting the way he is, maybe some young enterprising Democrats are like, no, I can literally just go in and say like, fuck these guys. They've given us nothing. All of these Democratic reps have done nothing but open the doors up to Trump's administration. They're complicit. And I'll show you, you know, a different way. And maybe they'll be a lot louder and more aggressive. Maybe they'll be more boorish. Maybe they'll call Trump a pedophile. I don't know. I think that's a bit of wishful thinking. Well, I do wish it. Yeah, I'm not going to. Yeah, for sure. It's wishful thinking. Yeah, please. You know, wish upon a star. That being said, if something good happens, I think that's kind of the way it would happen, right? Like, that to me seems like a viable avenue for that sort of change. I feel like it's more likely than a third party opening up, at least. Maybe. It's a more promising trajectory. Anyway, let's listen to this dipshit for a minute more.
We have repeatedly made that clear. But Republicans have decided to go it alone. That's what the budget reconciliation process is all about. And so we're ready, willing, and able to work with our Republican colleagues and the current administration, as I have repeatedly stated, on any issue. And
just more appeals to bipartisanship surely will address the situation. I don't know what they're doing. Something good will happen if I just keep appealing to bipartisanship.
In order to make life better for the American people. That's why we're here. We've made clear from the beginning. There's a season to govern and a season to campaign. We are in the governing season.
You might note, by the way, that he's not even really criticizing the Trump administration here. Like, I know he has a bunch of headlines here saying like, oh, tariffs are bad for the economy, but he could be going off right now. I mean, he could be saying like, oh, we'd love to work with Republicans on lowering costs for the consumer. Unfortunately, they seem to want to raise it. We'd love to lower the cost of homes. Sadly, the people in power right now seem to be most interested in raising the cost of homes. But again, this would take a spine and even a little bit of charisma. I've never seen a person so anti-charismatic. Genuinely.
And so we're ready to work together on any issue. But I'm also confused about the leverage that we allegedly have in the face of such an overwhelming mandate that was given to
saying what Republicans have is an overwhelming mandate when he won by 1.8% is literally just fascist propaganda that you are engaging in right here. Can you imagine if the SPD, after Hitler was appointed, was like, well, we'd love to oppose Hitler on the whole, you know, Gestapo rounding up Jews bit, but like the overwhelming mandate of him losing the election and then getting appointed by Hindenburg, and then following that like a sus election where you had no choice but to vote for him, otherwise you'd be like shot in the back of the head. The overwhelming mandate that Hitler has, what are we going to do to oppose it? I can't fucking believe he'd say that. It's collaborationist. It's collaborationist is what it is. Like, let's acknowledge it goes beyond mere incompetence. Like, whether it's because he knows he's lying or because he's ideologically incapable of understanding what he is and what moment he's living in. And I think it's both to an extent. There could not be a worse Democratic minority leader in the House. I genuinely think that you could go through every single Democrat, find me one who'd be worse than this. At least some of the more reactionary members of the House would have more of a personality. Find me one worse than this.
Republicans by the American people, according to them.
A sticking point for your party after last December was Elon Musk announcing his opposition to the funding bill. Are you looking for reassurances from the Speaker or Republicans that he won't be involved this time around?
Yeah, we're looking to find common ground and to get to an agreement that meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, safety, national security, and economic well-being.
That's easy, Fetterman. I said House.
Pretty simple. It's all we want to do. How do we best protect the American people in terms of their health, which includes but is not limited to Medicare and Medicaid, along with the Affordable Care Act? How do we get to an agreement that protects the American people in terms of their health, their safety, their national security, and their economic well-being?
Let's say Republicans do come up with this proposal.
I'll wait for the answer. I don't care if I can't hear the question.
Are there any lessons that you've learned as you all seize on attacking that 2017 tax bill that you can apply to the conversations that you'll be having in your districts with constituents, with the American people?
This shit must go hard.
With some of these proposals that may be included in this next tax bill?
Yeah, we were very disappointed in 2017 because,
oh my God,
once again, the Republicans decided to go it alone. As opposed
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Oh my fucking God.
to working with Democrats in a common sense way.
He literally can't, like, he's literally unwilling to refer to his political enemy as the enemy. Like, Republicans will go on the news and call him a child fucking shitbag piece of, every Democrat wants your daughter to be abducted by Tren de Aragua. Like, he literally cannot. They could win all three races and he would walk with them. He could, yeah, literally. Like, what would Kamala Harris winning have really done? That's me being facetious. There would have been a huge difference. But in a lot of ways, they would have just went and fucking worked with the Republicans anyway. Yeah, it should be clear. I'm painting with such a broad brush that I'm being inaccurate here. Obviously, the difference would have been massive between Trump and Kamala winning. But in terms of, like, the long-term complicitness of the Democratic Party,
we, House Democrats, are the common sense caucus. Instead of working with Democrats in a common sense way to actually find bipartisan agreement in 2017 around... So
Nancy Pelosi is 1,000 times better. Oh, God, absolutely, yes, 100%. Nancy Pelosi dog walks this guy, not even fucking close.
Called tax reform, they decided to jam the GOP tax scam down the throats of the American people and set up a situation where 83% of the benefits would go to the wealthiest 1% in America. And every single Democrat said, we can't support that because that's not in the best interest of the American people. Now, understand, if you go...
I think this right here, what he just said, might actually be the most important thing to learn from, which is that when Republicans do something evil, Hakeem Jeffries frames it as them merely failing to identify what the best thing for the American people is, as opposed to them having a fundamentally different set of interests. The myth that both Republicans and Democrats are working to do the best thing for the American people, and Hakeem Jeffries is chastising them here for not arriving at the correct solution, betrays either his poor understanding of the situation or his lying to benefit Republicans because they don't have the same interest, at least not nominally. The Republicans are evil. They want evil things. The things they want are bad. They don't care about the well-being of the American people. What's wild is that the Dems aren't working with a steep hill here. Only 53% of people think he's doing a good job. Yeah, and he's on week 3. Like, he's not working with a huge mandate here. Yeah, his overall job rating, according to the CBS News poll, is 53%. That's not an overwhelming mandate. He's in the honeymoon period of his first of the election. Here's Gary Connolly, head of oversight for the Dems, also saying Trump is a mandate. Well, I sure am glad this 74-year-old fucking geezer with cancer, who's dying of cancer, was chosen for this position over AOC, a person who commands far more attention and respect from the actual voting people as opposed to the fucking consultants they listen to.
The public did not give Trump a mandate to dismantle the whole chunks of the federal government. Gave him a mandate to...
I can't, I'm trying to think of ways of saying this that aren't repetitive and also don't get me in trouble. Okay, I don't think Jerry Connolly is like paid opposition. I think this is... There are limits to what they are capable of thinking of. It's not just they disagree with leftists on some things. There is literally like a fundamental ideological failure, you know? It goes beyond, like, this weakness is born of a set of failing principles that can't be corrected for with an argument and showing them the right poll numbers. It's anti-dialectical, I agree. Yeah. Like, they're on the wrong end of the dialectic. Like, the liberalism was the central thesis for decades, and then it was countered with neoconservatism. So liberals countered with neoliberalism. Now neoliberalism's run its gamut, and Republicans countered with fascism, and Democrats are still running the neoliberal line. They're acting like it's the Clinton years. They haven't advanced to the next step in the dialectical back and forth. And because the next step would be socialism. We're never arriving at a synthesis. It would at the very least be populism. Yes, it would at the very least be populism. Informed by socialist politicking, but yes, whatever you prefer. Yeah, it is the West Wing brain. Sorry. I've intellectually compromised myself by getting angry, you know? You know the Republican thing where they can't tell a joke properly because they get angry mid-joke? I've done that, except instead of trying to tell a joke, I was trying to make a point. It's really tough. How do you manage to get a left populist take to the American working class without having to throw your own core supporters under the bus in the process? Uves, that's the crazy thing. And that's how you know the reason why the Democratic establishment doesn't kowtow to left populism is because of their donors, not their voters. They wouldn't throw any of their core supporters under the bus. Literally no Democrat voters would have been hurt by the party leaning in with Bernie Sanders. Literally none. It would have been no one would have been hurt by that except for, like, I don't know, pharmaceutical executives or whatever the fuck. The Democratic voter base is to the left of the Democratic Party. Certainly when it comes to economic populism.
Back to 2017, which your question relates to as a reference point. There was a conversation about lowering the corporate tax rate to make sure America could be more competitive. And the corporate tax rate, as I recall, was at 33%. 33%. And the Obama administration budgets had indicated that we would be prepared to drop the corporate tax rate to 28%. That was the Democratic position. The far-right Republicans were saying...
It is kind of hard, though, when the people most opposed to socialism in this country are the working class indoctrinated by Red Scare BS. You don't have to frame yourself as a socialist at all. You just don't have to. I guarantee you that if the Democratic establishment had fallen behind Bernie Sanders in 2016 the way Republicans did Trump, 99% of the Democratic electorate would be fully in favor of his brand of democratic socialism. The only reason there wasn't, the people who were most uninterested in Bernie Sanders' message were people who were most establishment inclined, and that means wealthy white people and black Democrats. Why black Democrats? Because a lot of them are relatively moderate, but very loyal to the Democratic Party because, I don't know, there's something the Republican Party keeps doing with black people. I don't know what it is, but they seem not to like it very much. And they were being told over and over and over by Joe Scarborough type motherfuckers that Bernie Sanders is like a hypocrite, that Bernie Sanders is going to bring socialism to the United States, parentheses bad, that Bernie Sanders was like a maverick outsider who wasn't actually loyal to the Democratic establishment and its values. If they hadn't been disseminating all that propaganda, I guarantee you people would have fallen behind him. And likewise, if the Republican establishment had treated Trump all the way through the same way the Democrats treated Bernie Sanders, Trump wouldn't have ended up being the nominee. Anyway, people will gravitate towards socialism as a solution unless they are told not to. It is the correct solution. At the very least, answers in that direction. The specific implementation of socialism, obviously, bit of a historical tight spot. Not easy. But some basics, universal health care, we need to rein in the wealth and unrestricted power of the oligarchs. These things pull extremely well, and they have for a long time, you know? You need to be convinced out of those positions in order to not hold them. Kind of like being anti-gay marriage. In a society where marriage exists, you would think you'd support gay marriage too. Why not? What's the harm? The only people who don't support gay marriage are people who have this like obscene labyrinthine explanation. You know, they have to be convinced into it. I don't think people are naturally bigoted. I think they have to be convinced into bigotry, you know? I don't think people need an argument against it. I think the default position is one that is anti-bigotry because people default towards like empathetic and pro-social tendencies, right? If you grow up in a neighborhood and you're hanging out with a bunch of people of different races, ethnicities, whatever, and you're just chilling, you're not going to one day like wake up and go, you know, oh shit, actually white people deserve like a safe haven for the future of white children or whatever the fuck. You need to be taught that shit, which is why racist, religious people, whatever, groom their children at an early age to hold that bigotry. People don't usually like suddenly spring into it for no reason, like when they're 25 or something. Whatever. I've made my damn point. Fuck the Democrats. Trump revoked security clearance for Antony Blinken, calling him a bad guy. That's true. You know, you hate to give Trump one, but when he's got it, he's got it. Bernie did fumble a black vote, and it wasn't just because of the establishment. There's a reason why a lot of people like Kyle back then and Shu were treating the class war as separate from the culture war. Yeah, but Bernie Sanders was always very pro-racial consciousness. Far more so than fucking Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a crusty old white guy. Bernie Sanders was literally like at the civil rights protests. It's one of the main things people know about him. The idea that Bernie Sanders was a class reductionist was bullshit. It was a lie made up by the establishment. Bernie was always more progressive than any one of his opponents on every issue. You know? He was unambiguously pro Black Lives Matter movement. When he had his stage stormed by those BLM activists, he let them take the stage and air their grievances. However you feel about that, it was clearly, you know, a deferential expression from him. Like, to believe that Bernie Sanders was in any way bad for black people, you would have had to have been the victim of propaganda. That it is a propaganda position. Hillary Clinton tried to smear him for being reactionary. Like, how will, you know, how will making healthcare universal address inequality towards disabled black women, Bernie? Which, like, fucking what? You're Hillary Clinton. Fuck you. Piece of shit. What are you talking about? And they get the wheelchair for free. I don't know. Elizabeth Warren trying to smear him as sexist for no fucking reason. She tried it against Obama too. She tried to, dude, she called Obama. Didn't she say that Obama was working with like thugs or something? Like Obama's campaign offices were being staffed by race hustlers. Like a bunch of like black boys from the Chicago that she was crazy racist against them. Wait, what actually? Yeah, dude. She was like on the race bit, and she did it with him being a Muslim too. Like that fucking that like image of him when he was wearing the turban because he was meeting with some. They unironically did the Bernie bro slander to Obama. Hey, Obama boys, back off already. Young women are growing increasingly frustrated with the fanatical support of Barack and gleeful bashing of Hillary. Guys, I think Hillary might gender hustle a little bit. It's her term. And didn't she attack his preacher or something? Yeah, that happened a lot. Hillary Clinton literally started the birther movement. Yeah, it was it was this one, right? That famous picture. If only it would load the picture. Over the weekend, her campaign allegedly circulated a photograph of Mr. Obama wearing the turban and traditional dress of a Somali elder. The past year, the Obama team has been fighting back against a whispering campaign that he is a dangerous Muslim, he's a Christian, da-da-da. Yeah, they, wait, really? Yeah, this one. It was this. It's like a famous picture. Clinton aides claim Obama photo wasn't intended as a smear. The site said it was circulated by Clinton staffers and quoted one saying, "Wouldn't we be seeing this on the cover of every magazine if it were Clinton?" The picture was taken when Obama went on a visit to Africa as a senator. Obama, whose father was Kenyan, visited Wahir in the Kenya northeast, close to Somali and Ethiopian borders, and was dressed by locals as a Somali elder. The Clintons are a tumor in the DNC. This wasn't even the main thing to me. This was like really bad, but the racial politics she played, like beyond that. I cannot imagine America electing a president during a time of war, the Iraq War, who is not at his center fundamentally American in his thinking and his values. Let's explicitly own American in our programs, the speeches and the values. He doesn't. Billy Shaheen, co-chair of Clinton's New Hampshire campaign, raised the issue of Obama's drug use as a young man and the possibility that Obama could be attacked as a drug dealer. He said he was talking about how Republicans would attack Obama, but his statements had the effect of injecting racist stereotypes into the campaign. It'll be, when was the last time? Did you ever give drugs to anyone? Did you sell them to anyone? The next day, Clinton privately apologized to Obama for Shaheen's comments and claimed she had nothing to do with them. Obama didn't accept the apology, based, because he believed Clinton's campaign was circulating emails claiming he was a Muslim. Yeah, there was all the... Stephanie Tubbs Jones, a member of Congress and Clinton's surrogate, when asked about the circulation of the photo, implied Barack Obama as native to Kenya. I have no shame or no problem with people looking at Barack Obama in his native clothing, the clothing of his country. If we're supporting a woman or an African American for president, we ought to be able to support their ability to wear the clothing of their nation. I'm getting a trip down memory lane, man.
You saw that lovely photograph on Drudge yesterday, and Drudge said initially the Clintonites gave it to her. If the Clintonite did that, would you consider that first a dirty trick? And secondly, would you think the individual that did it should be fired if they could find him or her?
Understand this, the Clinton campaign does not condone people putting out pictures that they seem to believe should be are inappropriate. But let me say this, I have no shame or no problem with people looking at Barack Obama in his native clothing, in the clothing of his country. This is a diverse country, and people across America recognize that. I would not personally have done it, and we can't attribute it to anybody in our campaign. But the Clinton campaign does not condone the conduct, and we would hope that America is going to have an opportunity or begin to see if we're supporting a woman or an African American for president, we ought to be able to support their ability to wear the clothing of their nation.
Representative Stephanie Tubbs.
Remarkable.
You don't believe that Senator Obama's a Muslim?
Of course not. I mean, that's, you know, that there is no basis for that. You know, I take him on the basis of what he says, and, you know, there isn't any reason to doubt that.
You said you take Senator Obama at his word that he's not a Muslim. You don't believe that he's a Muslim?
No, why would I? There's no,
right?
no, there is nothing to base that on, as far as I know.
It's just scurry.
Barack Obama's connection with his former pastor, Jeremiah Wright, became a major controversy in the 2008 presidential campaign because of his strong, controversial, and sometimes radical statements on America and U.S. policy. Tapes were obtained showing the Reverend saying, "God damn America," instead of the expected "God bless America," and speaking frankly about the treatment of black people in America. Jeremiah Wright's sermons were reflective of what you'd hear in a black church anywhere in America, and despite the caricature perpetuated at the time, Wright was neither a separatist nor anti-white. While there's reason to believe that Jeremiah Wright tapes may have come from those associated with the Clinton campaign, what is certain is that Hillary Clinton used guilt by association to further other Obama as un-American and downright scary to white people. He used a selective view of Reverend White's message to go on Obama. Lead up to goddamn America paints very different. Clinton claims that Wright blames America for 9/11. Hassan linked Obama to Luis Farrakhan as well as Hamas. Why the fuck are we covering this shit? Because I'm mad at the Democrats. No, video unavailable. Clinton campaign began making the argument that Obama was not electable because he was not winning over the support from white voters. What does this article go on about the stuff really early on where Hillary Clinton and her surrogates were basically making the argument of like Obama's campaign team being a bunch of scary black guys from Chicago? You know what I mean?
How does Hillary Clinton win the nomination?
Well, Kathy, you know, there was just an AP article posted that found how Senator Obama's support among working, hardworking Americans, white Americans, is.
Oh, man. You get that from like a Trump bit now, you know?
Weakening again, and how the whites in both states who had not completed college were supporting me, and in independence, I was running even with him and doing even better with Democratic-leaning independents. I have a much broader base to build a winning coalition on. How does Hillary Clinton...
Yeah, if anything, I feel like a lot of this wasn't even brought up much in 2016, you know? When Hillary Clinton ran, like, considering how popular Obama was, I feel like it should have been a lot more electorally, damaging to her within the primary. How nasty she was, nasty woman, to Obama. And I hate Obama. Nasty woman. Hillary's target audience was young voters who never saw that. Hillary's target audience wasn't... Denny K, you don't need to spam. I saw and very deliberately didn't respond to it the first 5 times you said it. When Biden was governor, prison inmate labor was used at the governor's mansion. They had slaves. Based. Did Hillary even have a target audience other than herself? White women, I guess. Because she really disingenuously accuses other people of being misogynists, and she's racist. So my guess is, like, that's kind of the intersection that you get, you know? All right, are we ready to talk about the thing? The thing. The thing! You guys aren't ready for the thing? You fucking losers. You have no idea what's in store. Sorry about the audio. We love our autoplays, don't we, folks? 1 second. Let me see if I can find... There we go. Constitutional crisis. Just a few days away. Oh boy, it's almost here. Constitutional crisis. Yay! So J.D. Vance, who I assume is associated in some way with the Trump presidency, but I'm not entirely sure how he is, put out this tweet, and it's a doozy. If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general on how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. J.D. Vance is making the argument that judicial review doesn't exist at all. Beyond judicial review, actually. He's essentially arguing that judges can't do anything to touch the presidency. You might recall that through a memo, the Trump administration ordered a spending freeze in the federal government that was immediately frozen itself by judges. The courts blocked Trump's federal funding freeze. Agencies are withholding money anyway. Right now, the Trump administration is acting in violation of multiple judges, ordering them to stop doing what they're doing. And J.D. Vance is actually making the affirmative argument here. Rather than merely saying, oh no, we're following the law, J.D. Vance is essentially saying that judges don't have the right to stop what they're doing. Which is like an anti-judge checks and balances argument. And he's convincing thousands and thousands of people that his lies are truth. Well, yeah, that tends to be what happens when you lie. All the examples Vance uses are also false. Yes, actually. The behavior of a general can be challenged and stopped by a judge, like a military tribunal, if it's a war crime. Orders can be lawful or unlawful. Likewise, with an attorney general, you're not going to believe this, an attorney general can do things that are unlawful. And if they are, a judge has the right to put a stop to it. That is literally the main thing judges do. This is the reason they exist. The UCMJ says you're allowed to disobey unlawful orders. Well, what's an unlawful order? Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. J.D. Vance is essentially just arguing against any legal checks or balances. This makes sense because it's part of the unitary executive theory. Remember, as of right now, the legislative branch of government kind of doesn't exist functionally right now at the moment because Elon Musk is directly tampering with and halting payments from the Treasury Department as per his whims, which means that he is taking Congress's power of the purse, which is their most important power, and he is making it a task of the executive branch. So it makes sense then, if you're already, circumventing the authority of the legislative, that you would attempt to do so with the judicial as well. J.D. Vance is kind of fronting that. This was always the game plan for Project 2025. The unitary executive theory, which you can Google. We talked about this on stream, but if you want to Google and refresh your memory, you're free to. The unitary executive theory is the idea, basically, that the president should be a king. You can dress it up and make it sound fancy if you want, but that's basically the gist of it. The president should be a king, The president should basically have unlimited power. People are getting spicy about it.
Vice President J.D. Vance is questioning whether courts can block actions taken by the president, and some are inferring that he's raising the possibility that the president just ignore these orders. This is what the vice president wrote, quote, "Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power." This followed a judge's order that temporarily blocked Elon Musk and his team from accessing sensitive Treasury Department systems. With us now is CNN senior legal analyst, former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York and Philadelphia Eagles fan. That is why I am wearing the tie this morning for you, sir. Good morning, Ellie Holding. So J.D. Vance writes, judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. We maybe should underline and bold that word legitimate there because it's doing a lot of work. What can courts do?
The courts can agree with him. Is my understanding. They're allowed to agree with him.
It certainly is doing a lot of work, John, and J.D. Vance is really stepping very close to dangerous ground with that statement, and he knows it, by the way. This is a Yale Law School graduate. So the notion that the courts cannot stop the executive from doing what he wants, the notion that the executive may have the option of defying the courts, that is completely beyond even what the most extreme right-wing conservative theory in favor of broad executive power has ever argued. Now, look,
the thing that frustrates me about this when it gets discussed, the thing that bothers me, is that the unitary executive theory, as with many conservative interpretations of American law, isn't a real theory. It's just an attempt at a power grab. Like, you have to be able to engage in some kind of, like, sorting of legitimacy here, because if there's a bunch of freak fascists who are like, yeah, according to one interpretation of law, the president, just a right-wing president, by the way, actually gets all the power, that's not an interpretation, that's not a legal theory, you're just a fascist. Like, let's not, it's like a moniker, it masks the intention there, Like, oh, no, not even the most conservative legal theorists would come up with this. Well, it's because interpretation doesn't matter anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. People just do what they want, actually. I think you get asked questions about this.
Thank you all. Yes, sir.
Is this another country? Are you dumb? You guys want me to put in all the work for you. He hasn't yet, I don't think he's yet, directly responded to criticism or questions about this, because it only happened a day ago.
I can't tell you. You suffered a couple of court losses, Mr. President, and J.D. Vance said judges aren't allowed to control the executive power. What's your take on that?
Well, we're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go, and we're talking about fraud, waste, abuse, and when a president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse, we don't have a country anymore. So we're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling. But we have a long way to go. We have to look, we have to find all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse and theft.
It makes sense that J.D. Vance would be the one aggressively fronting this argument, because J.D. Vance is just, like, he was the guy whose job it was to fully integrate the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 mandate into the Trump presidency. Like, he's one of theirs. So it makes sense that he would be, you know, fronting that aggressively. Musk has been doing the same thing. Thank you for the link. Calls to impeach judge whose order blocks Doge from Treasury systems access. I think Elon also tweeted, because he's very stupid, that every year they should fire the 1% worst judges in the country or something, or every month or every week. I don't fucking know. 1% worst judges, like which of course means like we should fire the judges that disagree with our rulings. Yeah, by referendum. Yeah. Remarkable stuff. How do you define worst judge? I think I have an idea how he would. Always via Twitter. A corrupt judge protecting corruption. He needs to be impeached now. 200K likes. It's scary stuff. Guys, it's scary stuff. I don't know what to tell you. This is all part of the plan, right? The unitary executive theory kind of necessitates this attack on the judicial, on the judicial system. I don't know if anything can actually be done about it, though. I mean, you would have to, it would take so much work to oust all of the judges at every level who could potentially like stop or threaten or slow the Trump administration. What happens if Trump actually evades a court order? I mean, he is currently doing that right now. He's still engaging in a funding freeze, despite that freeze having itself been freezed by multiple federal circuit court judges. I mean, he's the president. What are you going to do? Something Andrew Jackson? Yeah, basically. No. I suppose we'll see how it goes. What is this? Yeah, why is Hamas trending with 500,000? Trump calls for ceasefire deal to be canceled if Hamas doesn't release all the hostages by Saturday. Awards going out to most predictable turn of events. The ceasefire deal was never even real. And right now, like, Trump literally just said, yeah, we need to get rid of all the Palestinians. No, they're not going to be allowed to come back. Yeah, no other country wants to take them. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah, of course, obviously. Besides, I'm not to get too macabre about it, but Israel doesn't want the Palestinians gone. Israel wants to kill them itself. You really think that the Israeli population would be happy with 1.5 million of them just making it over to Egypt or Jordan or whatever? No. Hamas doesn't release all the remaining hostages by midday on Saturday, though he did acknowledge it's ultimately up to Israel. Also, Hamas just allegedly said they're not going to release any more hostages. Do they have any more hostages? Are there any left? Hamas said it would stop releasing Israeli hostages until further notice over what the Palestinian militant group called Israeli violations of a ceasefire agreement in Gaza, raising the risk of reigniting the... This is all so fake, man. No one here is actually trying to pursue peace except for Hamas. Israel just wants Palestinian blood. America just wants Israel to continue doing whatever it wants because it's an extension of the corporate wing of our military establishment. Hamas is the only group here that has an actual invested effort or interest in peace. And they're unfortunately not enough on their own. Hamas wants peace. Hamas was trying to push for peace deals literally from like day one, like October 8th. You can call into question their sincerity, but, you know, Israel and America have never really given them a chance to, you know, demonstrate that. Like like literally months and months and months, Israel has been stopgapping peace. And then a ceasefire finally goes through, and what happens? Israel continues the strikes. Yeah, they had a deal out to transfer all the hostages basically day one, and Israel rejected it because you know, it would have required Israel to not do an invasion of the Gaza Strip. Hamas military wing spokesperson Abu Ubaida said Israeli ceasefire violations included delaying Palestinians from returning to northern Gaza, shelling and firing upon Palestinians, and stopping humanitarian aid from entering the Strip as stipulated under the ceasefire. Whatever. It's all fake. So basically, Hamas agreed to nothing and Trump got a massive win. Well, no, Hamas has been trying to get a peace deal done for ages. It looks like Israel just acquiesced to a very temporary, perceptive peace deal because they wanted to give Trump a win on day one that will immediately fall apart because who the fuck cares? It's all fake and gay. It's all fake and gay. Directing the Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies. It's unclear whether Trump has the power to unilaterally eliminate the coin. Yeah, they said they would, Dino Smash. Yeah, I don't disagree with the pennies thing. Bringing back plastic straws. Is that really the reason why Hamas was going viral, or is currently going viral with like 500,000 somethings? Is it that? Hold on, let me see. Is there some other thing? It's just that? I guess I can't imagine what kind of person would be that caught up in the like legitimacy of the ceasefire. It was so obviously not going to hold, but I don't know. Why else? Well, that's what I was asking.
Commitment to Mr. President, back on Gaza. The White House press secretary told us last week that you're committed to rebuilding Gaza. Steve Witkoff said that process would take 10 to 15 years. Does your commitment to rebuilding Gaza extend beyond your time in office?
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody. We'll let other countries develop parts of it. It'll be beautiful. People can come from all over the world and live there. But we're going to take care of the Palestinians. We're going to make sure they live beautifully and in harmony and in peace, and that they're not murdered. This has been the most dangerous site anywhere in the world to live.
I bet. Europe? Yeah, we'll send them to a farm upstate. Vosh, out of curiosity, would you support a left populist president defying court orders for left-wing policy? It would have to be over a pretty good cause, right? I'm not like a legal proceduralist or anything, but it couldn't just be like, well, I don't think the presidency should be bound by those powers, you know? Look, there's no denying the fact that like any kind of transformative change to the country would probably involve doing some stuff that people would later scratch their heads at. I guess my issue is like, if stuff like that is going to be done, I want it to be done to like make life better for the working class, give people free healthcare, make things good, not to like enable the ultra Hitler pedophile regime 2.0 or something. I just, you know, it really is kind of like an ends-based thing. But basically, like, if you're doing something as serious as like defying court orders, you'd better have a damn good reason to clear that bar. That's what I'm saying, you know? You know what I mean? You can't unring that bell. It's already been rung, especially now. The idea of like, you can't break the rules because if you break the rules, the opposition breaks the rules. How'd that work out for the Democrats? Democrats play goody two-shoes every chance they get. Republicans come into power and they're like, kablamo, no rules exist. We're in power now. Yeehaw. So no, if they don't want to break, or if they don't want to follow the rules, they're not going to follow the rules. It's really just a matter of like, what are the outcomes, you know? What good are you going to get from it? But the parliamentarian? Yeah, that's true. I'd feel pretty bad for the parliamentarian. If we can no longer resolve any of our problems through any kind of legal process, it's down to might makes right. This is a socialist live streaming community. Take your sensitive liberal ass back over to the Hakeem Jeffries strategy live stream each week. Sorry, we could have had like a socialist utopia, but some dipshit, 78-year-old white boy judge from Kentucky said that it actually violates some constitutional, order to negotiate healthcare prices with private companies or something else, Look, it's complicated. Wait, Trump pardoned Blagojevich? It's literally just a pro-corruption presidency. It's remarkable. It's literally like, if you are corrupt, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're an ally to the current administration. It's like a level of overt evil that goes beyond sense. It's cartoon shit. Blagojevich. Yeah, sorry. I haven't had to say it out loud in a while. Blagojevich. Yes, I haven't had to say it out loud in a while. Literally, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. When do you think he's gonna like start supporting Menendez? Or has he already? Bob Menendez seeking clemency from Trump. Okay. Literally, from 12 days ago on MSNBC. Bob Menendez seeking clemency from Trump. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So predictable. Yeah. Is this the bipartisanship I keep hearing about? I think it is. Yep. Menendez was like, the legal attacks against me are politically biased, just like the attacks against Trump. Yerp. Classic. Oh, the gold bars guy? Yeah. Eric Adams is a Trump guy now. Trump puts 20% steel tariff in, including on Canada and Mexico. Yo! Are these the deflationary measures that I've been hearing so much about? Trump's move to substantially raise tariffs on steel and aluminum imports on Monday, canceling exemptions and duty-free quotas for major suppliers Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and other countries in a move that could boost the risk of a multi-front trade war. Nice. We're so cooked if this happens. It happened. It's already happened. Why is our government putting out patch notes? It does feel that way, doesn't it? And here it is. U.S. Justice Department drops corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Yeah, that sounds about right. Literally just the pro-corruption presidency, like across the board. This is, Trump will also impose a new North American standard steel requiring steel imports to be melted and poured in aluminum to be... Trump will impose a new North American standard requiring steel imports to be melted and poured and aluminum to be smelted and cast in the region to curb imports of minimally processed Chinese steel into the U.S. So you have to so any steel imported from China will need to be recast? Okay. We don't even have the infrastructure to do that. No, that's like impossible. It's not impossible, but like, do you literally, like, we're hundreds and thousands of tons of steel being brought over on ships, and it's like, okay, we were going to send this over to, like, you know, be economically useful, but first we have to send it to a gigantic foundry and recast it, and then it has to be like reset. So if the steel is brought over in literally any pre-shaped capacity, like you're bringing over I-beams or something or whatever the fuck else, you have to recast it. You need like a giant foundry to recast it. Pittsburgh becomes relevant again. And retempered. Yeah, shit. Any of the steel brought over tempered, they're going to have to do the whole goddamn thing again. Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, said the measures would help U.S. steel and aluminum producers and shore up America's economic and national security. The steel and aluminum tariffs 2.0 will put an end to foreign dumping, boost domestic production, and secure our steel and aluminum industries as the backbone and pillar industries of America's economic and national security, he told reporters. This isn't just about trade, it's about ensuring that America never has to rely on foreign nations for critical industries like steel and aluminum. That's great, man. This is pretty bad. The funny thing is, if that recasting requirement is only being applied to imports from outside the North America, like from China, basically, I wonder if that would mean that we would start having that stuff be brought down to Mexico first or Canada first so that they could resmelt it because their labor costs are lower in Mexico, and in Canada they might have facilities that are open, and then we just end up importing it from them anyway. Like, we're basically just doing more. So like on paper we would be reducing Chinese imports, but in reality it'd just be because they're getting circumvented over to our neighbors. And it would be a lot more expensive, yeah. Because we'd be importing it twice, and we'd have to, like, work on it for some reason. This seems dumb. By the way, this tariff is 100% because Trump's ego got jaded over being called a pussy for backing off the previous tariffs. Isn't he already saying that he's going to ramp things up again with Canada and Mexico? Remember, he only delayed these tariffs by a month. Trump said Sunday that Mexico and Canada's actions to stave off his steep tariffs are not sufficient. His guys... Oh, man. It's going to be a long way. It's going to be a long... Oh, man. A long and cold winter. Yeah. Look, the only thing that we can hope is that this ridiculous behavior is going to revitalize Canadian and Mexican nationalism to a point that they are like the average Canadian citizen goes from, oh, well, you know, we're like America, but we're a little nicer, eh? To like every one of them is preparing for a Red Dawn American invasion scenario. You have like you know, citizens of Montreal setting up tank traps in the middle of their roadways, and Canadians are tripwiring their front and backyards. Just like that. Now, all we can hope for is sort of General NL. I'd be able to run pretty fast, I imagine. NL is ranting every stream about how he's no longer buying American products. Meanwhile, our end of this is we need to buy as many Canadian products as possible, right? Well, I guess that gives more tariff money to the U.S. Government. But at least you're showing support. Breaking, Trudeau's party just made a remarkable turnaround in the polls and is now on track to win the... That's not necessarily true. This is a bit over the top. They are making a turnaround in the polls, though. Canada election polling. They are... we are seeing a turnaround. That is definitely the case. Whether or not it'll be enough for the Liberals to win, I could not tell you. Trying to see how things are looking right now. Here's opinion polling. as listed by Wikipedia. But as you can see in this very most recent, like since the run-up to Trump's inauguration, there has been a very, very sharp shift in the conservative liberal divide. Polling is the devil. Polling is the devil. But this is still a pretty remarkable shift up. Bloc Québécois. Look, they're just having fun, okay? Part of it's Trudeau standing aside. Yeah, probably. To a small extent. We'll see. He's still doing the 51st state bullshit. I don't know. A lot of conservative politicians have been publicly bending the knee to Trump, like the premier of Alberta, so Canadians really don't like that. Yeah, literally. Because the Conservative Party of Canada, literally all they had to offer was being MAGA. Poilievre was wearing a MAGA hat. Like, not even like an independent Canada-based conservatism, but just an extension of American conservative monoculture, you know? How the fuck is it 4 p.m. already? I think probably because I spent the first hour rambling about City Boy, LA City Boy, first time in the snow. You also wasted time in the Hillary BS. That's not wasting time. Someone in chat said that Bernie Sanders was underperforming with some groups, and my point was that, like, Hillary Clinton has literally always maliciously weaponized identity politics as a way of pulling people towards her. And in 2008, the only consequence of this was that Obama won, but in 2016, the consequence was that Trump won. So, you know, genuinely one of the most evil fucking people in the Democratic establishment's history. At least recent history. I don't want to go too far back on that. Another plane crash? Sorry, guys. Are you familiar with the NSA's big delete? They're yeeting a bunch of stuff related to trans people and climate change. Any internal network content that contained any of the 27 banned words, including privilege, bias, and inclusion. Yeah. I've heard about this. It's pretty funny. The federal government is going to make it so. I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to talk. I didn't even talk about the goddamn Super Bowl. Fuck. It's always something, right? It's always like the first thing in the title, because I always think like I'll get to it last to drag people out. Never works. But I'll be back tomorrow. Super Bowl was pretty bad. Didn't the Kansas City Chiefs get defeated by the proletarian vanguard, the Eagles? I mean, I don't know anything about anything, but I'll stand up for Philadelphia over Kansas any day. Did you even talk about the cancer research? No, but I talked about, like, Hillary Clinton, who's a cancer in the Democratic Party, so. I'm from Kansas? Well, that explains why you're talking the way you do, Wartech. The Super Bowl was worth watching just for the halftime show. Dude, unironically, I was so impressed with how Kendrick was able to rap that out and self-censor the whole time. I know he practiced a bunch for it, but like, I feel like it's got to take so much, because you know he's used to singing it the right way, and then he's like live censoring it. It's just very impressive, right? To not like default back into the, you know, the uncensored version. The Chiefs are from Missouri's Kansas City, though, lol. Have you considered that that's really confusing? We know it is? Okay. All right. I'm going to read donos. I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll start at a regular time. Nico Ayers, the $10. Sorry I've spammed you. I'm just stoked my Twitter went from 3 followers to 700K views in 24 hours with a little expose thread. Thought you might like it, and then you've provided your @. You for one, you can provide links and donations, not just the @. And for two, well, I'm glad you're hyped about it, you know. I'm not going to poo-poo in your parade. That being said, I can't go over an expose thread, you know. That you never trust content supplied by the person who made it, you know, because they're not an objective, you know, outside voice evaluating its entertainment value. What's the @? He'll tell you. Nico, you can post it. Shrug and Bug and Joe Schmoop, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Good Faith Goblin, thanks the gifted tier 1 sub. Knotted Alpaca, thank you for the $5. Me going to the Botox Injection Appreciation Club and being surprised when all I see is miserable, sexually repressed Republican women and not people with cerebral palsy. Does Botox help with cerebral palsy? A Cosmic Dragon Lover, thank you for the gifted tier 2 sub. Really appreciate that. Conrad Lacoste, thank you for the $50. That's really kind of you. Hey, have you tried the game Balatro? It's a new game blowing up the internet right now. Is that so? Would like to see you do a Let's Play break from politics in your channel. I'm afraid that the next game I play on stream has to be Metal Gear Solid 1. Also, I think that if I played Balatro on stream, people would make fun of me and be mean. That being said, I've played Balatro. You know, I got I think I got Gold Stake on one deck. I don't remember which one. I haven't played it in a bit. But no, phenomenal game, really. It's very good. It's very good. We want to make fun of you and be mean, though. Yeah, it's why it's very smart of me to not open myself up to that line of criticism. I'm dodging you preemptively. You're mad. You can't roll catch me. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about with these remakes. I'm just going to play the damn game. Always with the remakes. Always something going on. Eris385, thank you for the $20. Some conservative Christian pastors are blaming Patrick Mahomes for being possessed by the devil for wearing an Old Testament wristband and not a New Testament, and the reason for Casey's loss, and he's tricking Trump to be woke. I didn't understand any of that. Literally, all of that just went shoom, just right past me. So basically what I'm saying is, I'm so sorry to hear that, or that's great. Whatever you said. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I wasn't going to. Rarbarian, Nathan E, and Nathan E again, thank you for the $2 all. How many electoral votes would Canada get? You can actually find that out. Assuming they had representation. I don't know, though. You'd have to look it up. Enough to secure a Democratic majority. Pants, thank you for the $10. I wouldn't sew a piece for Vosh because I'm too anal about my work to sew for someone who isn't local for frequent in-person fittings, but I do enjoy doing sewing/tailoring more than other forms of art. It's a lot of fun, you know. Not necessarily my my forte, you know, to engage in personally, but I can see how satisfying it would be to pull it off, you know. Mr. Venom and Bika, thank you for the $2 both. I learned yesterday my grandma watches your videos. Terrifying. London Quares and Still Alive, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Fact check, this is actually one of the worst openings to a presidency, only beating out Trump's first term. So he's doing worse than Bush, Reagan, etc. Yeah, no, I really do think we're in for a reckoning. I mean, guys, the tariff got raised on steel and aluminum today. Prices are going to start going up soon. Like really soon. This was it, right? Like steel gets used to make a lot of things. So if you're tariffing like for no reason either. Yeah. So if you're tariffing like the base input, it's going to start to happen. Cloud FTW 113. Thank you for the $10. It's genuinely surreal and scary to hear about a Nazi rally like 10 to 15 minutes from where I grew up, especially since my old neighborhood has a relatively high Jewish population. Just try to take some heart in remembering that as popular as right-wing politics are right now, that shit still don't fly like anywhere. There is nowhere in this country except for the shittiest of backwaters that are already ideologically captured where you could fly a swastika and not have everyone descend upon you. It's just not like right-wing politics today in this country relies so heavily on euphemism to carry the weight. A lot of the idiots who fall into them just don't understand what they're buying into. They don't. They really don't. There are a lot of people out there who are really, really anti-DEI, and if you could probe their mind and learn what they actually think they're anti-DEI and not anti-black. They really do. Now, are they actually anti-black? Yes. Like in practice, yes. But if you could heart of hearts, if you could understand what they're thinking, basically what I'm saying is they're sometimes a lot stupider than you give them credit for. Tajirai, thank you for the $5. New Dem strategy, start pushing bills to illegalize Nazi symbology and memorabilia, make it into a wedge issue. You would run into First Amendment issues there, not that the current administration gives a shit, but, I definitely think Democrats should kick up way more of a fuss about Nazis. Who did these guys vote for? Why don't Democrats ever say that? Why are Democrats never like, wow, Nazi group X, Nazi group Y, then you take a look at these people's socials, they're all pro-Trump, just a little bit, hey, what a coinky dink, Breaking? Yeah, I saw. Emesh the $10. Bernie's got to be more cruel in inconsequential ways so we can have Dick Cheney level immortality. Nah, Bernie's way healthier than Dick Cheney was, is age comparison wise. I think that Bernie's pure heart keeps him going way better than evil. Hello, Capella. You staring at Lizard? She's wandering. Michael and Galactic Moth, thank you for the $2 both. Thank you. What do you think of Gary Stevenson's rhetoric? I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't really speak to it. Still alive, thanks to the $10. Kyle Klinsky said he's noticing a huge difference in how people are feeling at the grassroots level than ever before, despite the craziness of the Trump White House and the ineffectiveness of Dems. Yeah, maybe people are turned towards more radical organizing when they realize the Democrats are literally fucking useless. I guess that's the hope, right? Better than people just turning in. Good night, y'all, etc., etc. That's the hope. Prairie Fire and Galactic Moth, thank you for the $2 both. Drive to Canada and buy Canadian products. It's the only way to resist the Trump administration. Not at Alpaca, thank you for the $5. Botox does help with cerebral palsy. That's what it was intended for. To paralyze spastic muscles? Huh. I actually did not know that. Didn't know that. I'm so hyped for MGS political analysis. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have fun with it. 3 Arrows Bill, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Getting my passport photo taken tomorrow. So friendly reminder to chat, now is a better time than ever to get it. Yeah, just make sure you, if you're trans, make sure you're careful with your gender marker because, you know how it is out there. Capella. Hello. Capella. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Very good. So good. Oh, just making sure I'm not rolling over her. She's not used to being around rolly chairs, I imagine. You gotta be careful about that with cats. Kowalski, thank you for the $5. Sam read my I am on MR today, expresses my anger at Democrats. Link, I know the risk. You know the risk, Kowalski, especially at the end of stream. But the sentiment is and always will be appreciated. I love you all very much. Time kind of got away from me a little bit during the stream, you know? That's what happens when you're having fun. Take care. I'll be back tomorrow. Gonna try to start a lot earlier. I had some stuff to do earlier today. So take care, and I'm gonna go play with Capella. I'm gonna go toss some fake mice around, you know? I'm gonna go launch them. Drink water.